Welcome to the landmark 20th episode of the Business of Tattooing podcast. This week, we're joined by James Gaither, a pivotal but often behind-the-scenes figure in the tattoo world. For nearly a decade, James has been the driving force behind one of the industry's most trusted names in infection control, Adina and Art Noir. But his role extends far beyond selling gloves. In this raw, unfiltered, and deeply insightful episode, we pull the curtain way back. We start with a debrief on the inaugural Raven's Nest Tattoo Competition at the legendary 85th Annual Sturgis Motorcycle Rally. Then, we dive right into the deep end. James brings his unique perspective from the front lines of manufacturing and distribution to tackle the industry's biggest challenges head-on. The threat of Amazon and direct-to-consumer Chinese manufacturing, the painful lessons from the rise and fall of organizations like CTS, and the urgent collaborative mission behind the new Tattoo Industry Manufacturers Alliance. We discuss the moral obligation of those who profit from this community to protect its history, its artisans, and its future. This is a conversation about legacy, responsibility, and the hard work required to keep the soul of tattooing alive in a rapidly changing world. Strap in for this episode of The Business of Tattooing. Face looks good, beard looks good, sounds good.
Yeah, me too, right?
That's what I was talking about. Not me, dude, not me.
Oh, all right, man.
Well, how you been, man?
Nonstop. Yourself?
That's always my mantra, bro. I'm always nonstop.
Yeah, that serialpreneurship, man.
How's things been?
Got the disease.
How's things been since Sturgis? Well,
Uh,
I guess how was the rest of Sturgis? Because you guys were there for pretty much a whole week after I left.
yeah. Sturgis is a blur, man. It's come out of it and just we were there with we had a purpose, right? And that's why we didn't bring the bikes out, which was kind of a bummer. But we plan on doing it next year. But we had to stay laser focused. As I'm sure you understand, any first year program, it is nothing else, just so. The tempo after the contest, it was, we were racing back to zero, right, at the tent, and we got almost there. So it was a pretty good experience in general. We heard a lot of scuttlebutt that it was very slow for the chip compared to historical years, maybe attributing to the fact that it was the 85th anniversary and a lot of overall Sturgis attendees just didn't want to deal with that extra, crowd or the craziness. So I don't think I got the same experience. A lot of people are saying it would take you 2 hours to get to Deadwood and it would take us 45 minutes instead. So I don't think the turnout in all of Sturgis and the attendance of the chip is what it could have been. So it could have been crazier for sure.
Well, that's interesting because I've never been to Sturgis before, so I don't really have a comparison. I wouldn't know what a busy year looks like from a non-busy year, but that's interesting to hear you say that because it didn't feel. I mean, there were times where it felt crowded, but that's just by my standards. But I didn't feel like overall it was really difficult to get around anywhere. Like it was like I figured the most crowded thing that I saw was going through the what you call that, the Narrows or whatever, those little, that road that goes through all the mountain tunnels and stuff like that.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to do all that. It was just Chip to Deadwood each day, that one drag there. So
yeah. But that's interesting because with it being the 85th anniversary, you would think it would be maybe a bigger crowd than normal.
yeah, I definitely would think on the fives and the zeros, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, we're already into planning. I came out of that with just a big old pile of lessons and we have just a phenomenal, team that stayed at home. Our CFO, Sean's wife, Carla, and, they had a mountain of stuff to make sure that clerical and taxes and reporting and stuff was rocking and rolling. Compliance had to help out. We were selling faster than we can probably, there's a lot of things that didn't go great, but for everything that, was a challenge, we had, a lot of lessons on how we're going to be able to, increase sales, increase exposure, maybe increase what we're able to raise for the charities. We Ricky Rackman, pulled an audible the day before, and he was just, we're standing in the tent, and he's like, "You're selling that art?" I'm like, "Yeah." And I was like, we had a really had a chance to start doing the silent auction. What do you think?" He looked at me. He's like, "You guys are doing a silent auction?" And I'm like, "What do you think?" And he's like, "I was like, so you kill it on live?" He's like, "I kill it on live." I said, "Boom, we're going live. Just tell Sean, right?" And 7,500 for two pieces from Sarah's art, which was
Yeah.
just no prints done on it, one of ones, first ever scratch board, and her specialty is ballpoint, and did the backdrop and everything. I don't know if you put stuff on or edit in things into the podcast, but I can send you the images if you want to slap them up, so
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
can
Yeah.
see what it was. But she was blown away. She's never had her art sell for that much, and that really helped, cover a couple of those admin fees and raise a good amount of money for them. And we haven't been able to get it all dispersed out because we're still closing the books. But it was very impressive, the tattoo contest aspect of it all for sure.
Yeah, I talked to Sarah after the auction, and she was pretty emotional, and yeah, so I definitely felt that energy from her, and that was super awesome, man. Like that was really freaking cool. Like Mario bid it up at one point in time, and I thought that was super cool.
Yeah, he had to jump off stage and go shake the guy's hand.
Yeah,
Chris was
yeah,
awesome, man. He bought both pieces. He's already hit me up for one of the last posters that I have so we could frame it. And I'm gonna hook up with him next time I'm in Maryland next year, and go chill at his house and stuff and see. He's a big memorabilia collector. So without him and a couple other people that were there, Javier, forget the organization he was with. He was doing a bidding war there for a little bit too. But to see that ballpoint go for $6,500 was, I mean, I started out at $500, and I'm like, "I'm not letting this. I'm buying the lady's art, dude, at $500." It was like 500, and then boom, before you knew it, man. But good on Mario, good on all of them, man. Everybody came together big in a big way for sure.
yeah, yeah. That was super rad. So how did you feel personally about the tattoo competition? Were you happy with the way it all went down? Were you expecting more or less from it? I mean, what was your overall takeaway from the tattoo competition?
I tried to have very little expectations, and really lean on the leadership of Sean, and Derb for sure. And then, of course, you coming in a pinch last minute because Shayna was able to make it. I just went in it with like just a server's heart. You know what I mean? I don't tell me what to do, and I'll do it. And so I had a
Right.
pretty good idea of what was needed of me, and Hoon was able to really. He's got a lot more experience with that as well. So he was on stage, I was off stage. Our goal, we could have sold up to 500 tickets if we really wanted because we had kind of blocked off a certain amount of time. And since we didn't reach that goal, we still at the door in the 2 days prior, having a tent on grounds, were able to sell a little over 160, close to 170 tickets, which was, it was pretty darn good. It's respectable according to Derb and other people that have done this before. So seeing it through all of their eyes, everybody was very, very complimentary of it. Both the chip, the bar sales were good. We're waiting to hear on some of that stuff. The attendance was great. And then hearing from veterans, like, what was your thought? I mean, Derb and Noir, everybody said it was great. So, I mean, you were involved. What'd you think, man?
I had a blast. I thought it was a really good time.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I don't. I didn't. I like the way the voting went down. I like the mix of the judges. I thought that was great because typically you would just have three judges. So I think we had like what, five or six judges.
Five. Well, Derb only wanted to have odd numbers, so there was never a tie. Five.
Yeah. So I think that was an interesting spin having five judges instead of just three, and I think that made it a little more interesting. Um, there was definitely there was a lot of good tattoos coming through there.
Yeah, we have to raise the bar a little bit. We got a lot of healed work. I think we're going to add some categories. I think we're going to add prison tat, instead of worst tat. Uh, yeah, there was some great artwork. There was only, I think, one healed piece from Ryan Eternal that he had done on site, and I think that was our goal. I know a lot of
Mhm.
people are like, "Well, what do the artists get?" Well, this is about charity. This is about people's healed work. I mean, and I try to take care of my tattoos, right? Like that, I'm a walking billboard for the
Mhm.
artists that I've collected, and I think that I mean, the amount of prizes that we gave away, that first place winner, I mean, she walked away with a ton of amazing things. And so again, if we were charity focused and wasn't just, hey, let's get the artist a plaque or a cash prize or a set of inks, it was about the person that was wearing the artwork at that event at Sturgis and giving them something else to do. I mean, there was one person who was upset that they didn't like it and they came by the tent and were vocal about it, but it was for days after it. People were coming by so excited. They were buying industry product. They were buying inkies. They were buying Solon. They were, buying jewelry, one-off limited edition knives and stuff with artwork on it. They came back, and our tent was just this ball of energy of people that were so pleased, even the non-winners that came by. So again, going back to the expectations question, I mean, the bar is set now. Let's just put it that way. Now we know what we have our minimum standards going to be going forward for sure.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
cool. Do you feel like did you like your tent placement and all that stuff? Do you feel like you were good strategic placement and all that stuff? It was good exposure for you guys?
Yeah. Already want to slide it over a little bit. I'd like to be right next to the coffee stand, for that morning crowd.
Yeah,
Um, there's a lot. There's a lot. I mean, I don't want to reveal too much right now just because I'm still
sure, sure.
doing our closing sales strategy, reflection ratings on the different vendors, ratings of certain things, improvements, all that kind of stuff. Um, I would be right there in that neck of the woods again, somewhere in that general area. It was quick to be
Sure.
able to get over to the big engine bar. We had kind of like a back break area, make some tent adjustments. But yeah, I mean, again, like we were right next to a vendor that has been doing it for 23 years. They break down their tent or they close up their tent, excuse me, and they roll to the amphitheater for a night shift. So they do like 14, 15 hours of sales, right? We were closer to that 8 or 9 from setup and, breakdown, and one day we left early because we were just dying in the heat. Um, so they said out of all of their years in 23 years, that was the slowest year. So for us to have hit, nearly a break even, which was really our goal, I think we were forecasting, I mean, CFO versus sales, that's always a time old battle, right? Like you do have to work well in the sandbox together. And I was projecting potentially a loss of like $5,000, and we were much less than that. So if the traffic and where we were at gets adjusted a little bit, if the traffic increases next year, then we could see a greater attendance at the show, and we could see a greater raise for the charities, and we could definitely see greater amount of sales out of the tent, which is, you got to prepay all this stuff. It's
Yeah.
near to $30,000 to get something like that off the ground, right? So yeah, if we have better traffic, slightly better placement, maybe like getting a little closer to the coffee stand, but still in that general neck of the woods, I mean, it could be a grand slam next year for sure.
Yeah, how did the artists do at the tattoo cafe? Did everybody were they
Uh,
staying pretty busy the whole time?
it's probably a comma question. I know a couple of them killed. You got. I don't know all the artists that well. Got to meet a couple new ones. I think Seven. He's got just many years of clientele that returns. I know from Ryan Eternal, hearing from him, like he did gangbusters as well. Um, the Crossroads location seemed to be is getting tattooed the entire time. You got Candace over there, and KJ was over there. And they cycle because that's that one tattooing spot over at the Crossroads in the free section of the chip versus the
Right,
amphitheater. How much time did you get
right.
to spend over at the tattoo cafe? A little bit, or
Oh, yeah, I was over there quite a bit. Julia and Q both got tattooed over there.
okay?
So
No,
yeah, we were over there for a while, and then we actually had friends from town that have a spot out there called Op One Vet. So they're like right. I mean, they were like literally right, pretty much. You go up these stairs to get to the tattoo cafe. They were kind of like right at the bottom of those stairs. So we were in that general area a lot of the time.
yeah, yeah. That's why you got that sweet sweet ride, man. I still have
Yeah,
that video. I gotta send you that video when it's like finding you guys like was guilty of having a good time.
yeah,
You
dude. I had a ton of footage
everybody.
too that I took. Some drone footage and Derb took footage, and we were gonna upload all that into a shared location, but I never got a link for that. But if you still want all my footage, I got a lot. Highway footage with some clubs riding and stuff like that, interacting with some of them, and that was some fun stuff. But it could, I don't know if you guys have put all your reels together and all that like stuff yet, but I've got a ton of footage if you guys want it.
Yeah. I mean, again, we could probably start talking a little bit more about all the sponsors, but of course, Electrum Tattoo Supply, Electrum Ink, you came to the rescue like so many of the other brands, not only participating, attending, but helping us put up some of that money to be able to put the production on. So we appreciate that. And to your content thing, we're all struggling with a little bit. We do need to find somebody that can really, we got to lean into our strengths, and so we need to have somebody that's going to be really producing a lot more content. We're working on that. But yeah, two-way street. If I can get you a shared drive on that, and then probably I'd say by the end of this month, you would have access to everything that we shot as well, so that we're not. It is a two-way street. If you came to the table with support in any capacity, we all content is king, right? So we have a whole drive full of stuff. Melanie from Respect My Industry and Skin and Ink magazine, all of her stuff is as long as everybody get their photo cred, right? So we'll have
Right, right,
it
right.
in there so that we cite all that. Photo cred is huge, but we should. So when I have that ready, you can drop it in a Rob folder and then have a doc in there with make sure all your tags and hashtags are appropriate. So if anybody pulls out of that, we're respecting that and everything. So, but yeah, absolutely. Just give me a couple more weeks on that for sure.
Okay, cool. I'm happy to talk about Sturgis as long as you want. We can kind of get around it for a bit and come back to it if you want to, or we can keep talking about it. But obviously, want to give listeners a little bit of intro to you and who you are specifically and your involvement in the industry and just a little bit of your experience and where you're coming from. So I want to get that in there somewhere as well.
So yeah, so I'm a big fan of your show. I think I've seen pretty much every episode. I get caught up on it whenever I can, and hearing people's backgrounds is definitely important. Not going too far back in my life, but a couple of weeks from now will be my 10-year in the tattoo industry. I started with in a cubicle when I needed a W-2 because my old ecom business had put me into a bit of tax issues back in 2014 when it happened. So by 2015, I had started with Adina, which is a manufacturer of infection control products, disposable gloves, barrier protectors, things like that. Small family owned business at the time, right? And I was immediately exposed to amazing individuals that Adina didn't go and sell directly to the end user. In fact, there's a lot of old school handshakes to that effect that I've kind of helped, carry the torch with, call it your latent gatekeeping or something, right? So, I mean, there's a lot of just things that I wouldn't discuss publicly again because there's so many high profile characters in this industry and the respect of what we all call the old heads or something like that, right? Like Adina was on the scene, but we were behind the scenes, right? And without tattoo, medical, and dental as our biggest channels at the time, those distributors, and I joke around and I say that they made us big accidentally, right? It wasn't the tattooer. Obviously, tattooers, turn like the '90s, and the AIDS pandemic and all that stuff, which is what really put the gloves on the scene, right? We were just a source at the time, and at the time, the previous owner leaned into black gloves. We had black latex first on the scene, and then we had black nitrile, one of the first ever that were actually soft enough and wouldn't break and brittle. You've been tattooing a long time, so you probably remember the first black nitrile gloves. They would just snap, right?
Yeah.
That's all just because of the polymer manipulation and on the line manufacturing process. So by 2017, I had amassed a fairly good book of business, with great distributor leaders in this industry, Eternal, Inc. at the time when it was separate, Coalition, Fifth Avenue, Tommy Supplies, True Tubes, things of that nature, and the list goes on and on, right? So 2017, Adina was acquired by a company by the name of Transonic. And yeah, everybody's the corporate buyouts, right?
We've
So
talked about
that's
that a lot.
hot topic, right? That everybody talks about all the time. And we were a part of that, right? That was right around the same time that everybody was seeing what was happening with the big West Coast and East Coast brands as well, right?
Yeah.
Consolidation for tattooers. Maybe they don't understand it all that well, but this is not a tattoo industry issue. This is happening in every away from home market segment and at home market segment. It's been happening forever. Your cereal boxes, right? Your janitorial supplies, your automotive supplies. Doesn't matter what market sector. It's just that tattoo finally started catching up to that, right? So, I was listening to another podcast with a gentleman that's trying to launch his own little tattoo supply company, and I'm always encouraging small business. I love that. Um, he's talking about these Wall Street goons, right? or these people sitting at the top stacking up their chips and their gold, and I'm like, I don't think you understand how private equity works yet. We haven't quite got like the stock market yet, but as soon as we go to the stock market, instead of complaining about it, why don't you pull a couple of G's out and do what everybody else does, right? Like let's get in on that. So I'm looking for the first ever tattoo stock. Let's do it, right?
That'd be great. Yeah.
So we were a part of all that, and I don't know if you knew that, but yeah. So we became a part of Transonic, and then quickly, world got turned upside down with the pandemic, and came out of the pandemic with a rebrand. You remember the original Dina gloves had that old school tribal vibe.
Yep.
We wanted to get rid of that. It's new now. The Art Noir Skyscape, which
Right
right,
behind you there.
yeah. So, but that's kind of my involvement in the tattoo industry from 2015 till today. So,
Now, has your involvement with Adina uh, always been focused strictly on tattooing, or did you also have clients in the dental and medical fields? Were you kind of tackling all three of those, or you were just strictly focused on tattooing?
good question. So yeah, I sell into almost every major market segment out there. Adina as a brand may not be the forefront anymore. As an organization, we're Hospico Brands Group. But Art Noir, I manage, so I do manage. I'm a channel director for all of tattoo, and also manage the co-manage the brand from the sales and ops side with marketing for Art Noir. But my book of business is probably half split. I still have old legacy customers. We've gone through a lot of changes. Organization's grown. We're in heavy acquisition mode right now, just like everybody is, right? We're not buying tattoo style customers, but we're staying in our wheelhouse. We've acquired a handful of things to help us grow into other infection control products I'm excited to start working on. So I do a lot of product development, but I sell into dental, agriculture, automotive is probably one of my second biggest channels. We are looking to potentially launch a pro team here soon for the automotive collision repair and paint auto body. So I get to go to SEMA. I've been going to SEMA for the last 11 years. So I sell gloves, man. That's what I do. I'm containers, truckloads. I private labels. That's the specialty, but it's not just, it's infection control. That's the passion, which really translates well into tattoo because safety as a collector, the canvases in the hole, and the safety of the tattoo artist is what I wake up to do every single day. It's the reason Adina isn't always the cheapest, right? And it's because we don't shave specs. We're not going to compete at the level of being we're not doing the price war. You guys do the price war. You compete against me. That's fine. I'm not going to have 100% of the business. There's enough money for everybody, but infection control, the only way people have been able to compete against some of our brands is by shaving specs or going from a reputable source in Malaysia or Thailand and going to China, where the standards are lower. And we just don't do that. We stick to our guns. We have specs that have been around forever. We're the brand within the tattoo industry, specifically in the medical and dental, has slipped a little bit over the years because the competition's fierce in those spaces, the GPO contracts and things like that. But in body art in general, very stable. And we're the brand that other people attribute to be. So when I deal with the distributor, sometimes they're like, "Oh, so and so is selling to me for 5-10 points less." So go buy from so and so. You're still going to have mine.
Yeah.
You're going to have your good, better, best, right? And that's the other passion besides the infection control, and even before Adina, my background, for 18 years now is helping build small businesses with product-based solutions. That's all I do is, I might be a sales rep, right? But at the end of the day, I don't get to bring home lobster and steak a few times a month without seeing small businesses grow. If they're not growing, I don't have a job. And that's what I stay, keenly focused on is I'm here to help people across the board. If you're an entrepreneur, and we saw a lot of it post pandemic. Everybody realized when we couldn't get a hold of something, it's time to start a business. And there's just that's been crazy. A lot of froth in the market, right? But I'm encouraging that, small business capitalism. Even though sometimes it cannibalizes itself, and it can be a negative thing or negative experience. People that are willing to buy product and bring it to the doorsteps of this community are the unsung heroes at times.
Yeah, I'd have a ton of questions for you, just in relation to Adina. It's funny because 30 years now, or 31-ish years, I've been around this industry now, and I just always remember like Phantom and Night Angel gloves, as far back as I can remember. I mean, I just feel like they've always been there. And obviously there have been some other brands that have come and gone, but I always I always seem to, see those gloves in shops when I go to them, or they're just always the gloves that I've seen everywhere, for as long as I can remember. But you guys do stuff in cannabis? Are you guys focused on cannabis too?
Another division, another division of ours. So about all that corporate stuff, right? What's happening with the Nexuses and the Trivest slash whatever. I call it the Biggie and Tupac battle. East Coast, West Coast.
Mm-hmm.
We're playing in that on the manufactured goods price or side of things with acquisitions in controlled environments, which is really like your lab and your clean room. Cannabis industry is every market sector has its subsectors, right? And they buy multiple categories of products. So cannabis is, that's your agriculture, that's your laboratory and testing, that's your good manufacturing practices in terms of consumption. So like your USP 797, 800 class clean rooms, if like it's all pharmaceutical at the end of the day, and the cannabis industry is finally catching up to that, and the smart people that are making like maybe consumables in that industry, whether it's a beverage or whatever it is, they got to follow the same standard as how aspirin is made, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you got to have a lot of stuff there. So it is another division that there's a version of me that does that for Hospico Brands Group and is growing and developing in that space in general, and keeping those and bringing products to the forefront, like. And that's things that you would have, or any of our distributors would have access to if they manufacture inks and things like that. We have a whole division of clean room class products that are available for redistributors or for consumption if you have an account, right? So like gamma radiated alcohol, tacky floor mats, things of that
Mm-hmm.
nature that keep the environment clean. So cannabis has got multiple subsegments, and each of them have a different need. If you're on the growing side and the cultivation side, you're going to need gloves, maybe some basic broad spectrum cleaning products that aren't going to affect the product, right? But, the clean rooms, the labs, and all that stuff, that's another market sector. So we kind of check off the box with Hospico Brands for pretty much. I mean, I was bold enough to say every away from home environment where
Sure.
people are working. If it's a consumable and a disposable that you're using in the workforce, every vertical out there, there's somebody that focuses on that market.
That's really cool. I heard you. I know that you do some product development, and you just mentioned that a minute ago. One thing I think is super interesting, from which I didn't realize till just now. How diverse your, SEMA and all the different stuff that you're doing. Like you have this broad exposure to so many different markets, and I think from an engineering and creative standpoint, I mean that's a real advantage for you to have because you have, whereas like a guy like me, I'm just really secluded to the tattoo industry. It's not that I can't go venture outside of the tattoo industry. I just don't really ever have the time to do that, right? So it's like super cool that you have exposure to all these different industries because as I'm sitting here listening to you say that, I'm like, man, how cool would that be to be able to just be exposed to all these different business markets and see what's the newest, greatest things coming out, or just have your brain be able to focus on what different segments and industries need and be able to bring that back to the drawing table and just always have your brain generating ideas. And not only that, but like how can you take from one industry and use it to enhance another industry? I mean, those kinds of things really invigorate and get my juices flowing, man. So I mean, that would be super cool. So that's really awesome that you have that level of exposure. But all I can really think is like, my God, dude, how do you have time to do all that? You know what I mean? Like, that's crazy. How
Yeah,
do
and
you,
continuously start companies and have a family and stuff like that, right?
right.
Um, yeah, you definitely climbed inside my brain there a little bit. That's a big part of my job and focus, especially now that the organization has been growing, is cross-channel sales. You know, even this paper towel dispenser right here, which was designed for tattooers, it's not the most, brilliant concept out there. You're just taking what you would normally have inside of a restroom, but now you're making it mobile. You can magnetically adhere it to things. You can put it on a pole. You can put it in a safe place and location for cross contamination. And you can bring one of the most popular products, within the niche shot of the tattooing process and drastically reduce the amount of paper towels that you use per session. But product development is a challenge. You launch something like that, we sell out, and then there's a global shortage of a raw material. And there you are sitting, and all your very loyal tattoo distributors and distributors alike that were latching onto it are sitting there flat, right? But we're relaunching that again here soon, and the design and concept behind that, that taught me a lot because I had never done major product development. I did in the plumbing industry a little bit. It was a part of a few different really cool underground pipelining systems that I was both somewhat the engineer on because I made it work slash teaching people how to use it and selling the raw materials to use it with and stuff. So I guess I had a little bit of experience, but in a company like this that's manufacturing the products or sourcing raw materials and converting the products, there's a lot of steps to go through. Like this concept was mine. It was my idea originally, but to get it to the finish line, oh man, that was a football team.
Yeah, man.
It was everybody firing on and leaning into their skill set and then trusting each other. And then still everything doesn't work out perfectly. It was all to get it out there, pivot, test, beta, and then what are we going to do next? And we're working on that. I got a drape sheep concept that's going to blow the socks off of the industry that I just started testing. We own a TB killer, tuberculosis. We have disinfectants we make, but all of our TB killing products are that are registered have to be registered in all 50 states. And then each state ratifies it at its own pace. So if you go into production on something, you can just lose a ton of money, right? So there's steps into bringing a product. So it's almost like this is the one we're doing, and then you just hit the gas, and then when you hit the wall, then it's like, okay, what do I do? Well, let's
Mhm.
jump on the next one because you're gonna get so far. There's gonna be a challenge, and then you got to figure out how to get around it. Because everything does come down. Can I get it to you, and you get it to your customer at a fair price? Am I offering savings? Am I offering value? Or am I another Me Too? Am I just, am I bringing something that has not been there before? So I don't, we could do, we could do some of the things that even, I guess yourself has done. We could do the Sensi wraps or the
Sure.
sheen covers or the cord covers that are going bye-bye. We could do that if we want, but there's no money in that. And that's the same thing that's already there. Somebody else already has that. So like same thing, like screw it. We'll name drop Dynarex and their stupid move years ago. What if Adina decided to start making cartridges or art?
Yeah, yeah.
Like that's what a bum move. Like we're gonna stay in our lane and we're gonna focus on what we're great at and we're gonna bring new innovation to change the space in a positive way. Otherwise, there's I don't want to do anything. It's got to be cool. It's got to be new.
Mhm. Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned the Dynarex thing because I remember when that happened and it did piss a lot of people off. I remember that.
We grew quickly.
Well,
They're our
what's
glove
funny?
competitor.
It's funny that you brought that up because I was
Yeah.
gonna ask you, We could go down a rabbit hole if we open this can of worms,
Do it.
but I'm okay with it.
Yep.
I've been talking about it. I think it's a big issue globally, not just in the tattoo industry, but just for really any U.S. business. I really it's kind of a conspiracy theory almost, but maybe not. I'll drop it on you to see what you think because maybe you're dealing with it. Chinese manufacturers, right? It, I'm not sure what the play is with the Chinese manufacturers, but more and more they're selling direct to consumers in the United States and cutting out the manufacturers themselves. So like it's a big problem for me because I've been manufacturing products in China for well over 20 years. I've had long-standing, really good relationships with these manufacturers in China that I've been, I consider a lot of them actually like friends. What I mean? I've had year-long relationships with these people. We've been over there and visited their factories and we've seen their operations. We've broke bread with them. I mean, we've done massive business deals with these people, and helped them build their businesses. You know what I mean? And it's
Yeah.
crazy today. You have, outfits like Temu and Sheen and even they're selling direct on Amazon. You know what I mean? Like they're basically doing the same thing that Dynarex tried to do, but basically circumventing people like you and Dynarex and me and tons of other manufacturers in the tattoo space and other spaces all around the whole world. I mean, I think a lot of businesses are suffering now because think about it like this. If you bring a product from China, you're paying tariffs when you import it, and you're having to bring large amounts of product in, right?
Right.
But a Chinese manufacturer doesn't have to do that. They can sell one piece of something to a consumer direct, and they can have it here in no time flat, and they're not paying tariffs because the value's so low. You know what I mean? So how
Yeah.
how do we sustain? This is a challenge in business today. I think for me, for a lot of businesses in the United States, is like as we're trying to figure out ways to manufacture things here on U.S. soil affordably, which is a challenge in
Right.
itself. We still have to do business with China, but it's like now you're competing directly against the factories that are manufacturing your products for all these years, and it's crazy. I don't really know how to get around it, dude. I've been struggling with it, and I think a lot of people are struggling with it, and ultimately, I'm trying to figure out what the play is. It's almost like to me, it almost seems like an economic uh, it's
Yeah.
like a strategic chess game that China and the United States are playing, and I feel like the United States is losing the game, bro. You know what I mean?
Yeah. There's no honor amongst thieves, right? Um, People get bored. I think I forgot who said it. So maybe we can look that up, but it was don't be afraid of people copying your ideas. Be afraid when they stop, right? You know, you and I've been getting to know each other on and off the last few years, but like you're a character just like many of the other friendships I built, right? And so you're a trailblazer. I like to think of myself as somebody that's pushing boundaries. And when the cake is good, everybody wants a piece, right? So
Yeah.
like it sucks. It does suck, and there is that geopolitical battle that's happening from manufacturers bypassing. Those used to be. I mean, again, the handshake deals, of maybe our parents and grandparents and stuff. That's how business is done. Now, I mean, the essence. I mentioned capitalism, or the essence of a corporation, whether you're a small business where you run the helm like yourself with your team, or I'm a part of a cog, there is this sense of it's got to be more profitable and it's got to be bigger every single year, right? It has to be.
Hmm.
Or you know what I mean? That's it. You got no job, man. And I don't think that there's a sense in that as much as is small family owned businesses as much. You're fine if, let's say, $1 million is what you do every year and that's 30% profit. And if you do that every single year, lights are on, you're invested, it's willable, you got your motorhome trailer, you're gonna retire. But when it goes from 1 million down to half a million, what are you going to do then, right? So I think the only way to overcome it is anybody that doesn't participate in fair business practices, fuck them. We're in the 21st century now. Let's call them out. There's a lot of problems with that. There's a lot of people. It's not just, I mean, Timu and Amazon have no business selling tattoo products, but people have been forced to cross the picket line because of that. They're going from their X amount of sales every single year down to X amount of sales, and it's hurting their family. They employ people. you know, and even the tattooers, they just don't get it at the end of the day. Even if you can talk smack all you want on the consolidation, or or small businesses like yourself, but you guys, they all employ people that care about this community,
Right.
like who cares, if it's a small corp or a big corp or a private equity firm, like who cares as long as they are doing everything in their power to protect the safety, the history, the integrity of the path of what this community is planning, where it's going, which we still don't know. We can guess, it's why Raven's Nest was an exciting opportunity, right? Like we gotta trailblaze, we gotta come up with a new idea, because as soon as you do that, it doesn't matter if it's China, domestic, Canada, or your best friend, people are gonna copy you, man. And they're gonna try to do it better than you. And I think the only way to truly overcome it, it's like you're in Indiana, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I'd imagine that within a 50-mile radius of where you're at, you got pretty good customer loyalty, right? Why
We
not?
do, yeah.
Why would they go anywhere else? So duplicating that customer loyalty on a grander scale to grow, it is an uphill battle, right? Like you got to come up with, and it sounds like you got some things in the works, like you got some ways to be creative, to grow your company, to employ more people, and as again, your goal, my goal, the big private equity firms, maybe not both, maybe not all of them, but I know one of them for sure. They wake up every single day with the same exact goal as you and me, to sell products at a fair price as they possibly can, that are safe and that are going to keep this industry growing in the direction that it is. And I don't see how you could shake a stick at that. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, China, whatever, man. Like we're over here, they're over there. They don't care about. Oh, it's all the same globe, right? Like they're boilers and burners that justify making gloves over there because of their labor laws and stuff. I mean, if China was the same in the United States, it would be a completely different story. We can't make gloves here domestically. One, because we have greater EPA regulations, right? So the manufacturing process and how it pollutes the environment is a topic of conversation, but we're on the same marble. And over here we have a political system that I mean, again, regardless of how much we print money or whatnot, like that's all has nothing to do with the fact that we pay people X amount of dollars, and we are still, as it stands right now, the world's currency. So over there, their people, they settle for a different valuation for their labor, and standard of lifestyle, a result within communist regime, right? So they're under the same exact thing as us: grow every year, no, at all costs. And that's the disease of capitalism, and it's slowly starting to creep its way in to the tattoo industry.
Yeah, it is. I don't, well, not like I said, not just the tattoo industry, but I think it's creeping its way into pretty much every industry now. Pretty much. I think it's like a virus, kind of, more or less, in that scheme. But it's a little disheartening, man, because you get it. I mean, you're a creator, and unfortunately, I'll go out on a limb, and I don't know if you feel the same as I feel, but I feel like innovation is a very rare thing in the tattoo industry, right? I mean, sure, some new things come out every now and then, you know what I mean? But like on a broad scale, how much evolution has there really been in the tattoo industry in the last 20 years, outside of technological advances, from going from drawing to using an iPad and those kinds of advances, you know what I mean? Those technological advances. And sure, machines have evolved, you went from a coil machine to, rotary machines to pen machines to wireless battery operated machines, and now you got robots tattooing on people. So I mean, that segment's evolved a little bit, whether you agree with it or not. But outside of that, I mean, aftercare hasn't really, like, I mean, it's it's a stagnant it's a stagnant place in my mind. You know what I
Going
mean?
backwards, man.
It's
It's
just
like it
you
needs
know,
to.
well, it's like, how many
Yeah.
aftercares can you have? You know what I mean? And it's
Yeah. Yeah.
crazy. What differentiates them? You know what I mean? What
Yeah.
makes one better than the next besides the marketing?
Marketing,
You know what I mean? What I
marketing and
mean,
Salesforce and buying the market and stuff like that. It's hard to go up against the guys that started it all, right? Or that came up with the brand. I mean, topicals is going to be an issue like the inks, right? At the regulation level, which is good.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
Aftercare, the
yeah.
second skins, there's no reason not to hold the tattoo industry to the same standard as the food industry. And even though at the end of the day, the food is poisoning us, people have to make better choices. You and I have talked about that. Your Mrs. Julia, with her bread and all that stuff. Like I've made lifestyle changes, even though the FDA regulates it. I still smoke cigarettes. The FDA regulates that. But I mean, I think you and Amy were talking about too, and I learned so much at AFTO. I mean, that wasn't really the greatest environment for me particularly, but understanding that those conversations, I mean, because I get tattooed, and I want to feel like what's going in. I've never asked those questions.
Hmm.
Why am I getting a reaction to red? Well, you can't figure that out until you get tattooed with a few different reds, and then, you know, So I don't know, man. Like everything, I think everything comes down to the fact that this industry is like the last $1 billion industry with the longest history that still does not have a central meeting grounds every single year. You know what I mean? This is mind blowing to me that you can have a expo 1 to 5 or more on any given weekend, every single weekend on the calendar year, 365 days a year, and it's not stopping, right? It's getting more diluted on the globe. I mean, right? I'm not talking about just the United States. So
Right.
globally, there's a tattoo convention every year, but
Every weekend.
every weekend. I'm sorry. Yeah, sorry. Excuse me. Yes,
Yeah.
every single Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and when CTS gets off the ground, tattooers like a lot of ones that I know and love and respect, and people that I don't know that well, and that's fine. They got a shitty attitude about it. Like, come on, man.
About
The porn
CTS.
industry unionized a long time ago, man. They meet every year in Vegas and they have a couple other things like to make sure there's a standard in that, right? Like, so I think that that's our biggest paradigm shift that we need to be focused on is how do we come together and hear out because I mean most tattooers and I say tattooers or tattoo artists interchangeably even though they're just distinctively different in my opinion, but the practitioner is very important, right? But without the practitioner or without the canvas, the practitioner has nobody to tattoo. So I guess that means that we're all focused on the skin of others, right? And I think if tattooers in general, and I'm not saying all of them because there's a lot of great ones that have really been stepping up, and voicing things. And I think that that is one of the coolest things that we're seeing former tattooers, manufacturers, active, influential tattooers say, all right, enough is enough. I want to do more for my community than just my studio, my bottom line, my tattooers and my clients. Like I want to get out there. I want to change the way our community is viewed in general. And that's what's happening. I think it's been forced upon everybody to a certain degree. Um, I saw your post about that. What is the acronym again? Um, for
Uh,
you and Sean working on?
Tima. Tima.
TIMA.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I
TIMA.
had to think about that for a second. You put me on the spot. It's a
Sorry,
new
there.
one on me, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, we came out of AFDO. Like right after AFDO, I just had this huge fire like inside, right? Like I was just like, oh yeah, I got to do something with all this energy that I'm coming away with from this AFDO conference. And so I came back, and after CTS fell apart, there was like there was I would call it a I wouldn't even say minor effort. It was a substantial effort on Sean's part to put together another group. And there were a lot of people on the call originally. But that one also fell off the rails for some reason or another. You know what I mean? And mostly I feel like to me in my assessment is I think the interest falls short when progress isn't being made. At least that's how it is for me personally. And
Right.
I think on a widespread level, that's probably what drives a lot of the manufacturers away from the table. They just like for example, I've been dealing with the Mocha stuff, for a long time, and I was part of CTS in 2018 when Mocha was starting to be talked about and FDA regulations were starting to be talked about on a serious level. You know what I mean? And then
Right.
I went to meetings in Vegas. I never really fully understood completely what the objective was. And a lot of times I just felt like it was a waste of time. You know what I mean? And I don't like saying that because it's not to say that it was a waste of time because I think what they were trying to do was valid and it was needed. I just don't feel like it was well organized, and I think,
Right.
and again, that's not a fault. I mean, it's just the pieces weren't in place right. You know what I mean? And I think, even at the AFTO conference, it was interesting to me that I forget it's been 13 or 18 years. Do you remember? I think it was 13.
How
The
many years
body
they
art
had
committee's
the
been a
body art
part of
side?
AFTO.
Oh, it feels like it was closer to 18 because of Steve Joyner and everything, right? Or maybe I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know. Percent.
I'm so bad
Been around a while.
with my memories bad sometimes, but
Yeah.
so it's either 13 or 18 years that the body art committee's been part of AFTO.
Give or take 5 years.
Yeah, give or take 5 years. But what was interesting to me, regardless whether it was 13 or 18, was in the meeting that you and I went to. One thing that I said in the conclusion was I was like, it's interesting to me that we've been here for this long and we haven't made significant progress, right? And it's like the food industry's been here for 100 years. You know what I mean? And it's like, why are we trying to reinvent the wheel when all these other people in all these other industries have already done this work? The only
Yeah.
difference is we're tattoo industry, not food industry, not drug industry, but the same principles and rules apply as far as I'm concerned, right? Like
Right.
we're not trying to figure this out from scratch. It's not like day one. It's like we just got to figure out how to get our shit together and how to be unified and how to establish rules for our industry and then hold to those and police to those ourselves. And
Yeah.
and
Yeah, I saw it. I mean, what reason does the representation of a glove manufacturer have to get involved in an organization like that? And that was the question I'd asked myself the moment I had heard through the grapevine and reached out about CTS is there's a duty, no matter what, in what way you profit from this community, in an obligation that manufacturers owe to our distributors and the distributors owe to the tattooer and then the tattooer owes to the canvas. There is an ecosystem. We're talking about thousands of years of history that is now an industry. And it's interesting to me because I also go to Barber Expos. Our brand is doing well there, and we're looking for some lateral movements, and they're more organized. Jay Major, who does the one in the same place that Tommy's does his show at the Mohegan Sun. Um, and, they have an award ceremony the first day. They have industry training that people pay for the tickets. It's a membership organization. I don't think really with very high dues. It's just a general membership and an annual thing. And both they have a West Coast and East Coast one. They're doing one in Vegas here. I'm going to be attending, I think next month. It's on my calendar. But why is it the barbers are more integrated than us? Like the barber industry, I don't think it's near. I don't know what is the last time I heard. Like the tattoo industry is 4 billion now or so, and growing at
yeah,
a clip, right?
yeah.
So um, when I saw CTS, again, we paid our dues, and that opened up my eyes for good or bad. No matter, and I don't care for a lot of the negative opinions at all that I heard from people that had attended and walked away, finger pointing at particular people or particular brands. I think that was bullshit. Um, it's always they don't erect statues of critics. That's kind of my core mantra, right?
Right, right.
You don't got something nice to say, then shut up, right? But I saw an example of CTS, so maybe you're right. Like the pieces in the organization that maybe wasn't there, maybe it was ahead of its time. But how bold of a group of individuals, and we all know one of the persons that was really driving that, right? Mario, like good on him. I've done more for this industry than I think I'll ever be able to do if I live to be 100. And again, I'm not a career tattooer. So I'm a shitty tattooer, and that's why I don't tattoo. So, but yeah, like I saw an example of what I've seen in every other industry that I service. I go to other communities. I came from the plumbing industry. I've done a lot of jobs in my past. There's a central meeting grounds for the leaders to have the conversation. I think what's really going to help again, we all have like pro teams and influencers we work with, right, to help us understand the community better. I do it because I'm not a tattooer, so my logic is not always going to be as the sharpest pencil out there, but I might have a pencil that I can hand off to a couple of people that are going to help me make it sharp or break it in half because it's a bad pencil, dude. Don't do
Right,
that.
right.
And I have to listen to people because the gaps in logic. Well, these great tattooers, the 40, 45-year-old up crowd, it would be nice to see them step up a tad bit more, right? It's going to take the leadership of people that this community has given everything to them and they've given everything to it by working their butts off for them to call out this young group, and this young group of tattooers are our future customers, right? We're not, if we invent a product, we're not selling to the tattooer today because they're going to, 90% of them are going to say, I don't like that. I'm selling to the tattooer tomorrow that wants it easier, faster, simpler, right? And the tattooer of tomorrow and the new tattooers, the people that are 10 years and under, I've seen them tell me flat out, no, man, I'm always going to buy from Amazon. I don't, I don't get it, man. Like voting with your dollars is a real thing, right? Well, they're 10% cheaper and it's free freight. Cool. Does Amazon cut checks when shit hits the fan, or does Amazon support this organization that helps, regulation in your area? Does Amazon have connection to 1,000-year history, or are they just that same corporate cogwheel, right? Like people, if the leaders and the brands and the distributors come together, even if it's messy, again, and show up again and show up again, we're doing the cliche of leading by example. When we stop doing that, or when people get frustrated, or it didn't work, or they throw out the baby with the bathwater, of course, yeah, yeah. Inaction and indifference is the disease of anything. It's not unique to the tattoo industry. It's we can do better, and it takes everybody. It's not about the fact, oh, it is the ink manufacturer's responsibility to do that. Well, of course, man. It's just like it's your responsibility to advertise for your artists so that they're happy and they stay there.
Yeah.
Everybody has a responsibility. It's when you have an inner drive that says, I would like to also do more than the minimum it takes to maintain my lifestyle. It's not about just me, it's about the collective we. And that's where, like the first time I heard the word tattoo family was from Derb. I'm like, wow, that's cool, man. Like that makes me feel a certain way. Now I feel not only more obligated, but a sense of greater purpose to be an advocate, because if I make a paycheck, I make a paycheck off of distributors selling to tattooers. I could just do that's transactional, man.
Right.
I could do that, whatever, man. I go to Jersey Mike's, get the same exact feeling,
Yeah.
right? But I can't, I personally can't. I don't expect everybody to be that way because that's just not realistic. But if a certain amount of the people that have profited and have stature in this industry just say enough is enough, we're going to show up and we're going to meet, which we're seeing with the AFTO meetings, and I think there's one tomorrow, right? And or the Body Art Committee and APT still going. There are organizations with a certain set of people that care. All the people that don't care, I don't know what else to tell them. Like I get it if you've only been tattooing for 5 to 10 years and you don't care. That's cool because there's been no example for you to follow.
Yeah.
And whose fault is that?
Well,
That's that's this generate. That's like everybody 40-year old and up is the ones actually caring. Brian Everett, Jack Rudy, rest in peace, right? They were trying to tell their previous, they are trying to tell still through these organizations that live through them. They're trying to tell the entire community that, hey, man, we can get together once a year, not tattoo, hold manufacturers accountable, talk to distributors and ask them for maybe better prices or more transparency with MSDS sheets, or give them business tips on how to earn their business. A tattooer walk directly to the manufacturer and have a relationship with them, even though you can't buy from a manufacturer 9 times out of 10 in this community. So that is important. I think it's the most important for the future of the tattooing industry is some sort of central meeting grounds where everybody is equal. Of course, they all wear a different hat, but we're all equal because even the tattooers are clients, right? Like
Yeah.
we all got skin. That's the number one.
Yeah. There's a lot that has to happen for that. Unfortunately, I'm with you because it's taken a long time to get to where we are here, and it's taken a lot of. I mean, bro, I'm not gonna lie to you and tell you that I'm not tired, bro, because I'm tired of playing the game. You know what I mean? Like, and again, it's like the conversations I have with Sean all the time. I'm like, bro, it's not even a question of do I want to do this. I mean, it's a matter of this has to be done. Like this is not. It's an obligation, like you said. It's not like I can just turn the light off and turn it back on tomorrow, and all this is going to be gone, and it's not going to be here. It's going to be in our yard. So it's like I applaud the efforts of Mario and CTS, like I said earlier, but my experience, and I'm not just hanging this on CTS because I've been involved with other groups since then, especially being an ink manufacturer myself, I've had to deal a lot with regulations and trying to figure this stuff out. And I was trying to figure this stuff out in a collective group. You know what I mean? Like I was trying, but it just wasn't working. The wheels were just spinning in the mud and we weren't going anywhere. You know what I mean? I even hired outside consulting firms. We hired a consulting firm, and I'm not even going to throw their name out there and put them on the spot, but they're supposed to be experts in regulatory compliance, right? So like when we knew we were going to be faced with all this MOCR stuff, and the FDA's been very vague on MOCR and how you are need to be compliant with MOCR, like that you really have to hunt for this information. Like it's not just out there for you to go find, and there's nobody knocking on your door telling you, hey, I'm here to help you get in compliance. It's like, hey, you better figure this shit out or else. You know what I mean? We can come
Right.
put you out of business.
Right.
So I hired this consulting firm, which is not part of the tattoo industry. I mean, this is their job. They consult with businesses on regulatory compliance issues. They're
Right.
supposed to be versed on FDA and REACH compliance and all these laws. But James, I spent thousands of dollars, like tens of thousands of dollars with this consulting firm and months of time, and nothing got done. Nothing, bro. Nothing.
Right.
Like
That's the
nothing.
trailblazing aspect, though. Like a handful of you guys are having to figure out how to substantiate everything because it wasn't substantiation. It's not the Wild Wild West anymore. So, yeah, man, it's a lot of money.
But when I finally decided, you know what, this is ridiculous. I'm not going to keep giving you thousands of dollars every month to have you on retainer. And you
Right.
guys got 5 people working on this shit on your side. And you're not even like getting one product of ours across the finish line, right? Like this is a problem. And we'd get on these calls and then we'd voice our concerns and then they'd backpedal and then they'd be like, yeah, we'll try to reorganize and get this done. And then eventually I was just like, we're not writing checks anymore. We're done. We're done. I'll
Yeah.
just go figure this out on my own. And James, I'm telling you, the second that I pulled the plug on that and I started digging into it on my own and getting into it on my own and figuring it out on my own,
Right.
it was done. You know what I
You
mean?
got, yeah.
It wasn't easy, but
You
it
got
was
your
done.
manuals, you got your
It
standards
was
and
done. I'm
stuff. Yeah.
done. I'm
Smart.
done. I'm MOCR compliant, right? So like,
Right.
and Sean is the same way with Eternal's the same way. You know what I mean? And Eternal and Electrum are the only 2 brands in the ink space that I can speak to that I have knowledge of, right? I don't know what
Right.
any other ink manufacturers out there doing. I have no idea if they're compliant with MOCR regulations. I don't even know if they know about MOCR regulations. I have no knowledge of it at all.
Some of them do, man. We both got a lot of friends, right? But this is the same thing. Monkey see, monkey do. The coattails, like we said, the trailblazers. People are just gonna. I mean, it's a tattoo community. Let's lean into this. Talk some shit. Hey, homie, you copied me. Admit it, and then fine, go ahead and sell your product out there. Or hey, homie, you're not being compliant. You're hurting people.
Yeah. So
Like let's get vocal about it because this is health and this is a health and safety issue. It's not just whose brand is, you know what I mean? I mean, come on, man. Like it's, everybody's got the same needs, right? Like getting
well,
tattooed is a luxury.
yeah,
And,
and that's where Sean and I feel like we've got to pick up the ball and kind of try to right the ship, right? Because like this is where you're faced with now, right? Like we have the blueprint, right? Like I have a blueprint that I can hand basically to any other ink manufacturer and say,
yeah.
this is what you need to do to be compliant with the FDA to make sure that your products meet the FDA's.
And that isn't adhering to REACH ingredients, right? You are MOCR compliant to the current.
Adhering to REACH ingredients is is a whole
Separate
different
issue. Okay,
discussion,
cool, cool,
right?
cool.
Like that's a whole different thing. But we're just talking about MOCRA FDA United States ink sales right now.
Gotcha.
So like,
Yeah.
so here's what the ink manufacturers are faced with, and this is why Sean and I decided to start TEMA, which is Tattoo Industry Manufacturers Alliance, right? And specifically, we're starting with ink manufacturers because that's where the impact is right now. I think one thing that the CTS would have profited better from would have been by reducing their focus on the manufacturing. When CTS was around, they brought ink manufacturers, they brought all kinds of product manufacturers. I mean, they even brought tattoo suppliers. I mean, I don't even know if
I
maybe
was there. I
you
was
were
there.
there. So
Yep.
I mean, there was a lot of people that were outside of the immediate discussion in that room. And it was a lot of politics at play, a lot of relationships with people that didn't mesh well over the years and were all of a sudden in a room together and expected to trust one another. You know, yesterday I don't trust you. Today I'm supposed to trust you. I'm in a room with you. It just was. It
But
was
that's
some
that's
bad
that's how
chemistry in
that's
there.
how trade organizations are ran, though. Like you don't go into the plumbing industry and it's just the copper pipe manufacturers.
But
No,
I
it's the
think you got to start.
fixtures.
But
It's everything.
I think you got to start small though and build that nucleus, right? Like
Right.
you got to get that framework put together, and
Right.
then when that framework's put together, then you start building the walls and you start
Right.
putting in the windows and the doors. You know what I mean? But you got to get that. You got to get that basic framework together and that foundational structure solid, and then. But I don't think we had that anywhere in the past. You know what I mean? And I think it was a lot of politics and people trying to dictate how the framework should look. And you couldn't even get agreement on that. You know what I mean? So then the walls just fell down because nobody was keeping them together. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
or people just got frustrated with one another or whatever.
Right.
So now
Well,
that
COVID did derail CTS. Let's be clear about that. Like I know it didn't jump right off the gate by 2019 again, but when they had plans for the next one, it was a place in time. I think there's a lot to be said for what you're saying there. You're right. Like you do have to have infrastructure that can be duplicatable. Um, but the movement pre Mokra and seeing the writing on the wall was just a few small amount of leaders in this industry that saw it right coming, and the general tattoo community had no funnel of information. So again, like maybe that was the mistake, but there was also a lot of things like there wasn't a full-time employee, and reaching out to manufacturers like ourselves that are we're not impacted, man. We already have the FDA process. We already know everything that we need to
right,
do. We're compliant. We were regulated because we're regulated for a lot of communities. And we just so happened to be in this tattoo community. So when it was time to pony up some cash for the greater good, though there was a handful of other people besides ourselves in other market segments that aren't just in ink, that had to help foot the bill so that Sean and a handful of awesome people could go to Capitol Hill prior to Mokra, Mario and Damon and everybody. There's a bunch of people. So yeah, it
yeah,
failed, and it's a bummer. But the greatest thing about it is, even though it didn't go the way it was supposed to go, it got off the ground. It started. So maybe Tima is that thing. And yeah, maybe if you guys want to stay laser focus on ink, but by the time ink, the ink by the time the entire subject is so disseminated to be easily digestible by the people that just aren't that it affects both the end user canvas that should have, and it's a little bit about what we were talking about with Raven's Nest and what our ultimate goal is, and we'll talk about that offline and deploy it by next year. But I think that the canvas needs to be more educated. They walk in the grocery store and they got all the information right there to make a good choice or bad choice,
right.
right? So therefore, and I think Amy and you had talked about it. It's like mind blowing that a person getting pierced will walk into a piercing or a tattoo studio and go, "Are you APT certified?" And nobody's asking about all that. So the downward pressure it's not as simple as is it ink? Was it an organizational issue? Was there, not enough money being pumped into it? So I see both sides. I think that there's a way to just drop the bomb and do it all at once, but it's gonna take 6, 7 figures of investment and time and people. And how do you get that out of the ink manufacturer, just the ink manufacturers? I don't think you can get it out of the,
No,
t-
I don't think the goal is to get that all out of the ink manufacturers. I'm just saying from a foundational standpoint, since the FDA's
operational.
focus is on ink right now,
Yeah.
the first people we need to bring to the table are the ink manufacturers. And that's just specifically because we've already got the blueprint for the ink manufacturers and what they need to do to be MOCR compliant, right? Like we
Yeah.
have all this. Now, here's what you could do. Ink manufacturer, right? You're a Fusion or you're a whoever, you know what I mean? Just pick an ink brand.
Yeah.
You have a deadline that you have to be MOCR compliant by. Eventually, the FDA is going to come knocking on your door if they haven't already, right?
Right.
Now you're faced with two options. Either one, you learn how to do this on your own, which is going to take considerable amounts of time, energy, and investment. Two, you go out and you hire an outside consulting firm, which is going to be expensive, right? Or we have this trade organization that we're putting together. We have all the resources in a library for the manufacturers. It's not like you have to let me come into your facility or pull the curtain back and let me know any of your trade secrets. We're not looking for that. You know what I mean? We're not trying to get access to your secret formulas or anything like that. We're not asking for that. There's no need to share anything like that. It's just come to the table, have these conversations with us, be a board member, help us vote, help us come up with the rules and guidelines that we want to govern by.
Yeah.
In
Pay your
exchange,
dues.
in exchange,
Yeah.
you have access to this whole library. We will
Right.
walk you through how to do all of this. Like we will give you
Yeah.
the templates. You simply plug your name in and your information in. You upload it to where it needs to be uploaded to, and you're good to go. You know what I mean? It's an easy
Yeah.
process after that, right? And then we bring in aftercare manufacturers because they're going to be the next ones on the in the spotlight, right? I mean, they're already
Hmm.
talking about fragrances and they're already talking about allergens, and I
Dies.
mean,
Yeah.
they're going to start looking at aftercares next, so we need to bring the aftercare manufacturers in. We need to get them at the table. We need to replicate the same thing with the aftercare manufacturers. And it just starts on the manufacturing level, and it's just simply ensuring that we're manufacturing safe products, good manufacturing practices, safety data information's there, transparency to the tattooer, right? Transparency to the client. I mean, we get clients all the time asking us what's in our ink. I'm allergic to certain things. I need to know if it's safe to get tattooed with your ink. I mean, this kinds of question
Right.
comes up all the time.
Yeah.
We want to be able to have that be transparent and accessible to anyone that wants the information, right? And we want to put that information together. It's just a matter of organizing it and compiling it in a way that's easy. But I think
Yeah.
Sean and I have had these talks. It's like, well, let's bring everybody in, but then I'm like, well, maybe too much too soon. I don't know. You know what I mean?
I guess the way you put it that way, because I talk to Sean off and on as well. And again, when my number is called, you let me know. Like I answer, and I definitely want to be in support of this concept in a whole because you guys are my customers, and so it's important. I guess when you put it that way, that makes a lot more sense, man. Like, yes, if you can build the framework for it, it will be duplicatable. But does that mean that Tima? And again, I'm just thinking outside the box here. Is Tima just a node of a greater organizational system, just like APT is, or maybe CTS can morph into, dare I say it, the annual awards organization underneath a much greater organization. And the reason I say this is like buying groups, things like SEMA and ISSA for the janitorial. There's not a governing body. There's a organization focused on that entire community, and because every community out there in the away from home markets, public health and safety and stuff like that is so complicated because the industry is the practitioner, the products that, it branches out. That's where things get lost, right? So, of course, again, I wasn't trying to talk shit on anybody specific and stuff. Of course, the tattooers of the younger generation and the ones that are leaders and blowing up on Instagram that were on television, of course, their head's spinning, man. They have no way to understand. So, if Tima is the duplicatable arm of a much larger organization, that's how it works. Because again, I encourage you to go like get offline and go to, the SEMA website for automotive thing. They have different organizational units and membership levels. You have your tools and departments and your powder coatings, and you have your different things that are all a part of the greater organization for automotive aftermarket, right? Like buying groups, like there's buying groups out there. I won't mention it, but like they have their rebate programs, which would be great for tattooing. And it's not the organization's name. It's the Viper program is what they call it.
Mm-hmm.
That's the group and organization focused on one thing and one thing only underneath the larger organization's goal and path. Right. And again, we can write all this stuff down and, go, maybe if you want, man, let me know if you want to come out to Vegas. I can get you some passes to SEMA and come see it. Come see how people's badges are ranked by their involvement in the industry. Go see how they break things out. Go look at the training programs. Go look at the organization's focus on regulations. So if TEMA can get it done right for Inc., like you're saying, and then duplicate that for anything, then TEMA becomes the arm or the shield of a greater organization that whenever the FDA or an outside source comes in, man, we're locked and loaded, and everybody could be 50, 60 people deep and ready for the army to uprise. And again, I don't say that in like, we're ready to fight, but I'm saying, and this is not about fighting, right? This, and I started learning this through a lot of you guys and learning from you the last few years, that we're just trying to reach across the aisle and do it the right way and not compromise people's safety. Which Reach clearly has, right? Compromise the safety of people, or at least that's my take on it, right? If Reach ends up getting implemented out here, I'm calling you up, bro, for an underground sale. Like I'm going to go get tattooed and be like, no, dude, you're using this product from so-and-so. He's my friend. And you're using this product from so-and-so. He's my friend. And you're not tattooing me. And tattooers are going to be like, yeah, no problem. Right. Yeah. So I don't know if I want those ingredients in my body because it just doesn't make sense. So, but you make a lot of sense there. And I know that you and Sean, and you guys aren't the only ones, right? But you guys are definitely the tip of the spear, it feels like, for trying to get this manufacturer set up. I guess my passion is, if you guys are doing what you're doing, my passion is that distributor. Why don't we have a buying group that holds manufacturers to a standard just like every other industry? Hey, listen, Electrum, Adina, Eternal, would you give 2% of the money that you make earmarked to an organization, and then that organization would keep a small portion of it to keep their employees going? Because again, it's not for profit. Nobody's trying to make money off of this, right? It's just to keep the lights on. And then they pool that money from all those manufacturers, the portion they don't keep, and they give it to the distributor. Therefore, the distributor is now incentivized. And again, I'm not talking about a new idea here. Every billion-dollar industry does this. It's called buying groups. The tattoo industry would greatly benefit from that. And we wouldn't have to charge big dues from the tattooer. Tattooers and studios could pay between $7.99 and $25.99 a year so that they have a discount on their attendance if they want to come out to the annual meeting, right? We don't have to charge a ton, there's no reason for that, because the organization can self-fund itself. Because if the manufacturers are okay with being in the same room with each other once a year and everybody can agree on a number, then that number, because again, we're nothing without the distributor, right? Or the tattooer. So the distributors are very important to us. And I'm assuming you sell to both, right? You sell to distribution and tattooers, correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So that concept, it works great in plumbing. It works great in medical. It works great in janitorial. It works great in everything, because now the distributors are incentivized to work with people that are a part of TEMA or a part of this larger group, because this larger group says, hey man, for your loyalty, I'm going to give you X amount of money back. And if they buy from 5 or 6 people that do the same thing, can you imagine those dollars and those cents? I mean, I know some organizations, like the AD one, which is affiliated distributors, probably the largest buying group there is in North America that I know of, and focus on industrial plumbing and a whole bunch of other things. If you're loyal to the manufacturers within the buying group and that trade organization or that buying group organization, regardless of the other trade organizations, you can get a rebate check back at the end of the year of 6 figures if
Yeah.
you're a big company moving a lot of weight. So
Right.
now the distributor is not going to buy from an outside source that thinks that they're cooler than everybody, that doesn't want to swim in the same pool and wants to have a bad opinion and talk shit. They're going to buy from the people that get along, because the people that get along are the people that are keeping it, are at the forefront of it. They're leading the path, giving the coattails to grab. And I think that that would apply great in our industry. I mean, again, I'm sure all the manufacturers that see me, if they hear me talking about this is not town, they're like, you can't fucking tell me you just said 2% on the air, man. I'm like, hey, come on. At the end of the day, we know how to deal with margins, and
Yeah.
we wouldn't be in business without these people anyway. So I can be doing a direct rebate and helping somebody grow their small company, or I can be paying this rebate to an organization that cares about the history, the community. And we keep losing these legends. I know I'm not a career tattooer, but I was starstruck around some of these people, right? Like like they're larger than life. This industry is in the last 10 years for me has given me everything. And it wasn't just because it was handed to me. It was because I paid my dues. It was because I came with respect. It's because I listened to these leaders, 10 years ago. They were like, hey, slow down, son. You can't say that, or you don't can't think about it that way, or have you considered this? And they weren't afraid to share information with me. There was no ego there. These customers, and some of them have become great friends because of that. And you and I are starting to get to know each other to that capacity. And like, I'm open to just playing my role as best as I possibly could and can ongoing. And you got to go back and pay it forward. You got to go back. Like, I don't have the house I'm in right now without the hard work I've put for this community. So if I can donate, help my time, we didn't go out to, I know I'm a part of the Ravens Nest organization, but I didn't make a dime. Being out there cost me like $4,000. You know what I mean? Just for what? To raise a few $1,000s for an organization to try to sell community products and see what works the best to be able to grow and help them out and sell some of these other products, right? And what was really I thought was interesting was Solon and Inkies is those two brands. If you had a tattoo on your arm, there was a good chance you stopped in your tracks and walked up and say, "What is this?" Because they know it, they recognize it. It's out there. People know. But it's not that we're asking so much of what it was. It was the fact that it caught their eye and they were wondering why it was there. Like, why
Right.
is this here at the
Right.
Buffalo Chip Sturgis? Well, we're an industry collective. We're here to help you understand. And when we roll into the educational aspect of what Ravens Nest is going to do for all their sponsors and the people that we work with, we want to make sure that we are a part of it. And we don't want to be, we're not in the global domination, right? But we want to be a part of that educational arm, because as much as I love the tattooer, again, I'm there for the canvas as well. On that skin, I don't know why it's not possible within for the next 5 to 10 years that the average everyday person, tattoo enthusiast that gets one or is going for a bodysuit doesn't know the name brand as well as a tattooer that's going into their body or on their body.
Right.
Right. I think that's it should be important, right? Like, I know the name brand of the sugar I use to make my cookies. The cookies just don't appear on the table. From a cookie enthusiast, I might want to look into the different types of brands and which one's the best out there, right?
Sure.
So
Right. Right.
if I go get tattooed, hey, Mr. Tattoo Artist, Mrs.
What
Tattoo
products
Artist,
are you
because the women are
using?
taking over the world, right? In that, because the women are easier to deal with in the tattoo. I always have a joke in the tattoo industry. If I had a tattoo every single time I walked into a studio from the moment I was 18, I would have a bodysuit, because the customer service, especially in SoCal at the time, 9 times out of 10, I walked in, I wasn't welcome, man. Like, nobody was there to help me. It was like, oh, you ready just to make a deposit? It was just like a really like a bad attitude. Like some of that Newport Beach and Huntington Beach scene and all that kind of stuff. Like, I won't name drop the studios, but it wasn't like, hey man, let's do what I like. I love your idea. Let's do this. You know, it was some shop person that was, hazing you or putting you through the ringer. So, and I just don't think girls are better at customer service and stuff usually. So good on them, right? But again, what about that? Why wouldn't it be important for the clientele, the people that we all serve ultimately at the end of the day, to have a very keen understanding and have very wide open transparency of what's going in and on their bodies? And that's where we can shift focus, because the education isn't just about the tattoo anymore. Let's just bypass them. All the ones that don't care, have bad attitudes, that's fine. You don't have to buy the product. Go buy it from Amazon. Be that dude. But again, tattooing, I'm not a tattooer by trade, but nobody owns it, man. This is thousands of years. This is
Right.
spiritual. This is fucking spiritual, man.
Right,
Like,
man.
what culture didn't have some sort of connection to this? So you don't own it. And the fact that you have a negative opinion and you're not listening, maybe tapping into a podcast like this, or Joe's, or there's so many really good sources of information out there. I just see people so quick to have an opinion, but not, say, hey, you know what? I want to hear what you have to say, and I'm going to go spend some time on myself, and I'm going to volunteer some time learning about this. That's it, man. Let's just go directly to the person that's the most affected at the end of the day.
The business of tattooing is brought to you by Electrum Supply, the industry leader in high-quality tattoo supplies designed by artists for artists. Whether you need premium stencil products, top-tier cartridges, or game-changing aftercare, Electrum has you covered with innovative, artist-tested solutions you can trust. Want to elevate your work? Head over to electrumsupply.com and stock up on the best gear in the business. And because you're a listener of the business of tattooing, use code podcast10 at checkout for 10% off your next order. Stay sharp, stay stocked, and stay ahead with Electrum Supply. Yeah, I think you had a good understanding when you were talking about Tima being the arm. But I think APT is the bigger organization, But
Yeah.
APT's been here for a very long time. It is the tattoo industry's trade organization. Even though a lot of the younger artists don't know about the APT, that's where we're really trying to get the education out there to people.
Right.
But I see Tima, eventually APT is for tattooers. It's not necessarily for manufacturers. Obviously manufacturers are part of the APT, but the APT is more of the voice for the tattoo artists. They're more focused on the art of tattooing, the practice of tattooing. They're not really focused on the manufacturing side of things. And that's where Tima comes in, I think, and really can enhance the APT, right? And be a part of that bigger picture and bring manufacturers to that space and bridge the gap between manufacturer and artist, right? Like, that's how the artist gets direct access to the manufacturer, even if they're not
like two nodes coming together like molecules.
Right.
Yeah. Everybody doing exactly what they're the best at.
Yeah. So again, I don't know what CTS's involvement was with the APT. I don't even know if they were talking back and forth or not. I don't know.
They were. APT was there. APT there. It was absolutely there on the localized regulation level, and offered their, which was one of the reason a lot of attendees went, or tattooers went, and good on them, was for the to get their cross contamination certification re-ups that year. So they had classes for that. It's where I was first exposed to the APT.
Yeah, so that's good. So that's kind of where I think we're hoping to get back to, as far as I consider CTS as much a success than anything else. I still think it was a successful endeavor, just because it was an effort to get something bigger off the ground. And I think that's just where Tima comes in. It's just like, hey, we're going to pick up where CTS left off and carry that torch forward. And we're just going to try to make sure that we are organized and structured, and we have that, framework put together.
Yeah.
Before we invite anybody else into the, to the room to have these discussions. Yeah, we want to have the structure outlined. We want to have the ground rules laid out. We want to make it clear to, hey, we're not here to talk about each other. We're not here. Look, this is an equal playing field. We're all here for the same reason. Check the egos at the door. Leave your opinions at the door. Let's just come in here and talk about what's factual and what's important, and move the ball across the goal line. You know what I mean? That's what we're here to do every single time we meet, every month or whatever the frequency is. But Ben Shaw is very, very interested in helping us now. Sean and I have a meeting with him tomorrow, actually. And Sean Sean's putting full time into this now. So like this is gonna
Yeah.
be Tima
Good
is
for
gonna
him,
be
man.
Sean's full time thing, you know?
Cool. Ben's a badass too. Had the chance to get to know him a couple of times. He's a philanthropist, career tattooer, right?
Yeah,
Tattoo
and
studio owner.
again, he's a tattoo artist that devotes a very large portion of his time to
Yeah,
things that don't directly benefit him. You know what I mean? And his
exactly.
paycheck. I mean, and there's something to be said about that. You know what I mean? And it's
Yes.
same thing for you know, none of us are looking for gratification or pats on the back. You know, it's not what it's about. We don't care about that. It's
Right.
about protecting the history and the sacredness of this art form that we all make a living from, and that we are fortunate enough to be a small, very, very small part of. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
for any one person to think that they are like the god of tattooing is very a crazy thought, because like
Yeah.
we are microorganisms in this in this.
The sense of community,
Yeah,
man, the brotherhood, sisterhood.
yeah,
I just want to be a part of it. And I am, I feel very fortunate that it was kind of like an anointed way to enter into the community, having the opportunity to sell a brand that was just already so well known. People were asking, why do you even start a pro team? We still got to do some, hard work on that and make that better and grow that whole thing. It's like, I guess because the sense of like having a pro team was to try to build a brand. But if when you come in late to the game and you already walk in on you're sitting on top, what do you do then? So that's where I guess my sense of purpose came from. It's like, what am I gonna do, man? Like I came in, now I'm at the top of this particular, you know, aspect or again, molecule of the entire thing. And then I looked to my left and I looked to my right and I see my competition not doing anything. So um and I invite them. I invite them. I invite their money. I invite their participation, their volunteer time, and I'm down. I love to stand around and hang around with them, and then pony up some commas and
yeah,
comma that not like Sean comma, but
yeah,
some commas, and that's the duty, man. You gotta pay it back. So I commend you, commend Sean. Getting Ben involved is a great idea as well. When it does expand, here's a crazy idea. And again, I have a ton of respect and I'm a student of this industry. I hope you understand that. And as goofy as it
same.
sounds, the moment I had my first tattoo distributor in 2015, I started watching every single season of Ink Masters, right? Because
Yeah,
what other way was I going to absorb? How did I learn? How could I have learned about like the history? How could I have learned about Jack or Tim Hendricks or Nico? Or how do I know the people that now, I mean, I guess the people that I do know and I am close to, I don't know all these people on a personal level, but I've met them or occasion or we may know of each other, but how do you understand the landscape of the people that are the movers and shakers unless you study? So I've read books. I listen. You can ask my girl, man. Like I'm listening to your podcast once a week. I'm listening to Not for Nothing. I'm listening to Fireside. I am a sponge because I need to know what's happening to be able to do the best I possibly can for my brand and the organization I work for at all times, disseminating the path and the paradigm shift within this community. So it's a calling as an advocate to be hyper focused. I mean, I'm not like a very popular person on Instagram and stuff. Most of the time, my account's private, but 90% of what I follow is is this community because that's a healthy diet of understanding of what the driving force is and that's why I have a definitive opinion now and respect the tattooer, respect the canvas, respect the distributor, respect the manufacturer. There is a way. So what about a crazy idea, whether you call it CTS or a horse by unit of the name? Or I threw some notes towards Sean that I'm sure again he's going to review with you the SMA, the Skin Modification Association, or the Coalition for Tattoo Safety. The place that TEMA and APT and maybe APP and are all of these organizations have their booths and their breakout meetings every single year in person. We just need one thing. And then that, to your point, then TEMA can start small so it's duplicatable and be that arm because one day the battle will be done, right? The battle technically, you want to get on the other side of this. You
Yeah.
want to be able to have a standard for people to get into this industry. If somebody wants to invent the millionth different aftercare out there, they got to go to TEMA. Like you're going to give them the roadmap because there's going to be an organization that will help them understand how to do it the right way, the safe way. And I'm glad. I'm really glad because I mean things like Second Skin and or whatever it is, Tagaderm, and I think everybody should do their own research. And tattooers absolutely, I respect whenever they prescribe something. That's not what my opinion about is, but I think that these types of things have never had the third party testing, and I've seen it hurt people. That gets me
Right.
upset.
Right.
I've seen
Right.
it affect me. I've gone back to, hey man, hit me with that saran wrap, which, food grade, not designed for tattooing, but has a track record of being safe. Hit me with that food wrap. I'm going to go home. I'm going to wash that thing off with dial soap. I'm going to air dry the hell out of it. I'm going to put a little bit of non-fragrance Cetaphil or, Jergens or something on it. Never had a problem with that. Less scabbing with that. I introduce other products into my skin and I've been healed my body with a lot of different things over the years being in the community. Always I have a greater level of complications, whether it's a barrier protector, except I think Tattoo Armor is one of the greatest products out there too, actually personally, just for the barrier protection aspect instead of something adhering to the skin. But for the actual aftercare ointments, come on, man. Anything that's got some oils in it, some citrus in it, if it's got, you know, I'm not talking smack on the ingredients or the brand, but you don't need all that stuff critically in the first 4 to 5 days, right? You need nothing other than the good old fashioned thing that the old school legends were doing a long time ago. Go home, maybe even Aquaphor, man. Who cares, right? Go home, keep it clean, wash it often, dry it out, tamp dry, and then put a tiny amount of something on there and you're good to go for the first week or so. Then you want to get crazy with a name brand thing that's now national or global. Cool, man. Do that. If you want to keep it vibrant and use it as it's not everybody's like you got to use this product. No, man, that's a moisturizer for my entire body. It doesn't make the tattoo. The big companies that are coming in with their thing and stuff right now and doing a ton of advertising and all this stuff. It's heal makes your tattoos more vibrant. So does
Yeah. Right.
you just moisturize. Moisturizing your skin is an organ. So I don't know, like it's all good. I'm just going back. I'm going back more old school now because of this whole thing.
No, yeah, I get it. I get it. I get it. I'm the same way when it comes to like lidocaine stuff. It's like a
Yeah,
trigger for me, so I get it.
same.
I swear I shouldn't even say this because that's just the dumbest shit, but like I'm just so over fucking seeing these 8-10% lidocaine products all over the fucking place, dude. It's just
That's
fucking
hurting people.
ridiculous. Yeah, and the education is just the lack of education is just ridiculous because
Yeah.
it's tattoo artists out there pumping these products. You know what I mean?
Not
Oh,
always though. I think that
dude,
the
more times
cannabis,
than anything, I see tattoo
yeah,
artists making videos pumping
that's
these
true.
lidocaine products, dude. And I'm just like, dude,
Yeah, it is happening, but it's happening as well as you know, people that probably shouldn't be getting tattooed. You know, tattoos hurt. That's how I recovered from my damaged childhood, man. Like it's like I've had the pleasure of working in booths with certain distributors, helping train their staff and just be connected to the community from that angle, and watching the amount of canvases walk up and ask for it. So you're right. I'm sure there is a handful of tattooers out there that are just, they would rather not have to go through and they make their own blends and maybe and whatnot. But I mean, doctors have to prescribe that. And the problem is we're going the direction of the same thing as estheticians, right? Tattoo studios, if there's ever a minimum standard down the line, and I'm not an advocate for this, so please don't have anybody take, my words out of context here, but it might be a law one day at state, local, or maybe even federal levels, like other industries, where the tattoo studio has to pay a doctor every single year to come in and check the facility and come in once a month. It's $2,000-3,000 a month sometimes in some jurisdictions, right? At least $10,000 a year just to be able to be a practitioner. The
that's how
money
it is with
padding of
laser
it.
removal in a lot of states.
Yep. Laser
Yeah,
removal,
yeah,
estheticians, which
yeah.
again, estheticians usually will have a laser removal person on site. So you have to pay a doctor a fee, and it's a business. It's a whole business, and it's corrupt or not, just to be able to do what you do. And then you'll end up seeing tattooers that are doctors, right?
Yeah.
And
But
validate their
you know what,
location.
James, you never really know where this industry is going to end up. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, you just really don't know. I mean, we talk about it a lot. Who knows what the next 10 years look like in the tattoo space? Like, I
I'm here
mean,
for it, man.
think about it, dude. And I say this all the time, and I mean it when I say it. My mind has never really changed, and I don't know why it ever would. But I really view tattooing as a very serious procedure. You know what I mean? Like, it's a very you are modifying a person's body, permanently. I mean, this is not, I mean, this is a serious thing. And I think it requires serious education to be able to do this job. You know what I mean? Like, you don't just learn how to be a tattoo artist in 2 weeks watching YouTube videos, dude. It's just not how it goes. You know what I mean?
What's your opinion on that? On the standardization, accreditation, collegiate or versus apprenticeship wave? I think it's one of the many important conversations that need to start being hashed out.
I'm with the APT on that one. Like I think I'm really supportive of what the APT is working on, and I think it's a culmination of both of those things, right? It's a
Okay.
accredited apprenticeship, right? More or less, right?
Yeah.
It's taught by industry professionals. It's taught with industry curriculum, that's developed
Mhm.
and designed by vetted and qualified artists, right? And you go through a formal training program through the APT or through however that's established. It's not there yet, so I don't know what that looks like, but
Are they working on it?
they are working on it. Yeah.
It's cool.
Um, and I think that's great. I mean, it's very interesting to look how far apart the piercing and the tattoo industries are, right? Like,
Right.
it's this is funny a story. I was picking up my prescription at Meyer last week, and the pharmacist came out and said, "What's your name, date of birth?" And she says, "Oh, who did all your piercings?" Just she's just a normal chick, older lady, and she didn't have any tattoos or piercings, but she's like, "Oh, who does all your piercings?" And I was like, "Oh, Noah out in South Bend." "Oh yeah, I know Noah." And then she's like, "My daughter's a piercer down in Carmel, Indiana, and she's an APP piercer." And she just started going off, and I'm like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, Noah, and there's only a couple APP piercers in our area." And I was like, "Yeah, I don't go get pierced by anybody that's not an APP piercer." You know what I mean? Like, you can get really fucked up getting a piercing from someone that doesn't know what they're doing. And so like,
Yeah.
but it was interesting that the lady at the pharmacy was having that conversation with me, because it just goes to show you that there are some people out there that are educated. You know what I mean? They do
Yeah.
know the right things to ask. You know what I mean? But I think the tattoo industry is headed in that same direction. I don't know how
I
long
hope
it's
it
going to
is.
take us to get there, but I think eventually you're going to have a thing outside your door. You're going to be required to be a part of this certification program to be actually. Now, that takes time, because that has to go from a federal to a state level to, that there's a lot of intricate moving parts to make that happen. But I do see
Maybe
that.
maybe that's the self-regulating side. That's why these organizations can set a standard. I mean, I don't, even though it's happening, I'm not a big pro-government guy, anarchy, right? Small, the absence of a centralized power, and if everybody can get behind the consciousness that we are, like you said earlier, we're a molecule, but we're a part of one body. And I do love the idea of self-regulation. I really do. But it takes the leadership, it takes the manufacturers and distributors to get in the room, drop, like you said, man, drop the egos, set a set of we don't have to reinvent the wheel. Just take the playbook from other communities, and then when the government agencies come knocking at the door, you can tell them to go fuck themselves because you already got your shit together, man.
Right.
That's what I would love to see. And because so many of the tattooer friends of mine that I've been tattooed by are the ones I've observed, and the ones that I don't, and I've ragged on tattooers with a couple of comments right now, but so many of them are so meticulously safe in what they do. They wake up to do not only great art, but how they do it. And that's when I got mesmerized when I first got in this industry and started getting tattooed again, because I took a many years break because getting tattooed is expensive. um, I would just watch every movement. Every movement that a tattooer makes is purposeful. And, I before I had learned about how dirty it was to grab the cartridge by its throw, right? Or I'm not the throw, but the what do you call it? The neck. And canvases understand that they don't grab it by that very end, right? They've just jammed your biologicals, and if they habitually do that, no, and again, that's where the accreditation program can come in and maybe make mentors out there, because I know some people out here in Vegas that have apprenticeships, and I've heard the things that they teach them, and it's just so spot on, right? You have to be safe. Every movement that you make is important. You know this because you're a tattooer. You come from the tube scrubbing days, right? I bought a needle jig from Mark and taught myself how to solder needles for the hell of it, and had to learn the hard way that you can't use the same solder as when I was a foreman pipe fitter. Right? Like
Yeah, yeah.
stuff, right? So you have to the trial by error stuff on local counties, or the fact that the gatekeeping and the attitude of the people that are I feel like the people that are the most against collegiate or accreditation programs, or allowing an organization like that to govern it, are the very people bitching and complaining about how many new tattooers are out there scratching people. How does that work? If you're not for us self-regulating every microcosm, again, the manufacturers, the distributors alliance, there's so many spiders of what this tattoo community needs to eventually to aspire to, that the safety and of substantiation is just as important as the concept of how we invite new people into the community to be practitioners.
Right.
So if people are getting, you know like, even like, and not to talk about, or blow up Sarah and stuff, but she would have been a great tattooer a long time ago if that son of a bitch wasn't for telling her that they were going to be sleeping together.
Right,
That's
right.
not cool, man, on the
Yeah.
human level. And it's like, so now a great artist nowadays didn't become a tattooer when she was aspiring, or an artist. So she draws, she actually knows what she's doing.
Phenomenal
It's not the
artist.
tracing game, right? And that's cool. Good on her. But she didn't become a tattooer, which was a passion of her at the time, because there was no accreditation program. So had the technology been the same back then when that happened, she could have gone to Amazon, bought a kit, bypass studios and paying your dues, right? Which really, that ecosystem is important, and learning from somebody that teaches you every single motion, and then getting your certification, and then cross contamination, and then continued education. I was a plumber and a pipe fitter. Plumbers union, man. That's public safety. That's potable water. That's sewage. Every movement product that you use is regulated. It's a part of the ASTM. It's a part of the Universal Plumbing Code and the International Plumbing Code, which, that's Europe and us and the whole world.
Hmm.
And they have essential meeting grounds every year. Why? Because it's fucking necessary for public safety. And you can say it was the vaccines and the polio all you want, but or the polio vaccine all you want for public health during that particular turn of the century, or that portion of the century, but simultaneously indoor plumbing and potable water standards were being established. So dysentery's out the door now, and bad diseases that are as a result of unclean environments was the real culprit. And again, I don't think there's a widespread pandemic in tattooing at all, right? But I'm just saying, we as a species got better, we got cleaner, we thought about everything that we were doing, every motion we were making, every product that was happening. And when our indoor plumbing got better, public health got better. It wasn't science, it wasn't a vaccine. I'm not saying that those things didn't help, but I'm saying that let's look at the source here, right?
Right.
And again, if there can be multiple organizations that can align under one roof, I don't care what you call it, right? But I think that there's a way to do it, and I want to be a part of it. I'll do my tiny little part. I sometimes get laughed at by friends in the industry, like, "Hey, come on, why aren't you an APT member?" And they're like, they have their opinion about it, and they're good. I have to respect their opinion, but again, don't bitch, don't fucking complain on a public forum often, and spread the bad gospel if you're not coming to the table with a solution. Shut
No,
up,
I think it's
you
great
know?
that you're no, I think it's great. I mean, there's room at the table for you certainly, because I think it's all about network and community, and you're definitely part of the community, you know what I mean? So,
Yeah,
and you definitely have access to the network, and you have the ability to bring other players to the table, you know what I mean? And so that's the strength that we need, is we need that network and that, camaraderie and that
yeah.
unity. You know what I mean? So,
I love breaking bread with everybody, you know.
and you're
It's
good at
great
it,
to
you
be
know,
around
and
great minds like you guys.
well, you're good at it and your passion's in the right place. You know what I mean? So why wouldn't we have that there? You know, and I think again, that goes to removing that ego. You know what I mean? Like there's no room for the ego here. It's what's beneficial for the whole. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's it. And so, you know, I can't even tell you why I'm here today or why I'm doing what I'm doing or how the road led me here. You know, I just feel like I'm here and this is where I'm supposed to be because I'm here and I'm
Yeah.
being called to do this, you know, and that's what a lot of people tell me when I talk to them. You know, they're like, hey, you're in the right place doing the right things and thank you for what you're doing. And I mean, that's all I need. You know what I mean? Like it just makes me feel good to be able to contribute something back to the industry. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
when we went to AFDO, you know, when we were sitting in that opening ceremony and they put that video up of I don't know the guy's name. I don't. It wasn't anything I registered to long
Yeah, I
term
forget
memory.
too.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But the guy that started AFDO, you know, they were talking about his story and how he got passionate about it because of mislabeled food products. You know what I mean? And that just was like very inspirational to me. You know what I mean? Like I was like, damn, that dude was a pioneer. You know what I mean? In his industry and his time. You know what I mean? And if I could be anything, like if I could wear any hat, how cool is it to wear a hat and be called a pioneer? You know what I mean? Like
Right.
that's cool, man. You know what I mean? That's a legacy. That's a legacy hat that you can wear. You know, like
Right.
people are
Yep.
people are going to forget this podcast in 20 years after I'm dead. You know, people are going to forget every contribution that I made to mankind. But if I
Maybe
can
not.
leave, well, if I can leave a lasting impression on the
Yeah.
tattoo community that I've been a part of for so long, you know, great. I don't even have to have my name attached to it. I don't care about that part of it. But if I can be the catalyst to something bigger, I mean, how amazing is that? You know what I mean?
Yeah, the courage of putting yourself out there. There's a lot of examples. I'm gravitating towards that. You know, I'm gravitating towards I want to be a part of the solution. I want to volunteer time. I want to pull out of my own pocket. Um, there's a lot of good people. You know, there's a lot of really good people, and even if they have even if their opinions need to be molded a little less ego and a little bit more proactive, at least if you got the balls or you don't necessarily the balls, but the courage to put yourself out there in a public forum, you know, I mean, this scares the shit out of me, right? I represent a brand, you know, and my opinions you know, I grew up pretty street and tough, you know, but somebody who doesn't like what I have to say, you can come see me anytime, man. You know, man, I'll pop up in the show one day, and if I got to lose a tooth over something I had to say, at least I had the balls to fucking say it, right? What are you doing?
Well, I
What
hope
are
not.
people doing? And honestly, at the end of the day, tattooers, the community, the practitioners, the manufacturers, but the actual tattooer, I mean, swear to God, they're the greatest fucking people on the planet. They're way better
Yeah.
than any other community I have ever been around. They're the misfits. They're the people that you know I just always get along with the best. You know, good, bad, or indifferent. Their talent, their whatever drives them, their maybe their trauma over their lives and how they choose to express themselves. It's truly the greatest community out there that I will ever be a part of, and I can't wait to see what happens. I just want to be out there and be a part of it and be helpful. I encourage the new generation of tattooers that Amazon is not your friend. Okay, let that be for your toilet paper. All right, because that's good for Kimberly Clark and all those guys out there. Let them do their thing. Okay, but your local or the person that you meet at a show in those brands, especially distributor, they're there to help you. They have contracts and they have negotiated prices and they oftentimes will only sell to professionals. I mean, my hat is off to the distributor that still asks for the certification before selling to them. Talk about gatekeeping,
The
right?
licenses, you mean?
Yeah, the ones that haven't folded to that, good on them. That's the step in the right direction. That combined with some sort of internal industry self-regulating its accreditation program, keep it out of the colleges, right? We don't need a Harvard, you know, tattooing program, right? Fuck that. So what we need is what you were saying.
Yeah.
But if you're a new tattooer and you're going to Amazon, shame on you. I saw your sticker on that one time that um, your
Artist
daughter,
over Amazon.
yeah, the artist over Amazon. I actually have it on the back of my laptop over here. I thought
Yeah,
that was cool, but I'm not talking. I mean, again, good on you, Amazon, for doing whatever you're doing and stuff. It's not just books and CDs anymore, but certain products. I mean, do you sell scalpels on there? Are scalpels allowed? You know, like,
probably.
yeah, probably, but
Wouldn't
it's
fucking
you have no
surprise me, dude. I
business.
think you can buy anything on Amazon.
Yeah, no business. They have no business selling certain things. And I just think that if the new generation was more like the old apprenticeship programs and there was a little bit more gatekeeping for the right reasons in the right way and an organization governing that, then you wouldn't have all these idiots bypassing the backbone, of the community. And that's the distributor network and the manufacturers that make it so that the industry could have grown. Like you wouldn't have as many tattooers out there without mass manufacturing and great distributors, right? And the tattoo distributor, some of the first ones, what Spalding and NTA just closed their doors, right? I went to that last APT NTA meeting and it was the most emotional connection I've ever had to this community. Seeing people have a moment of silence for the fallen tattooers that they miss so much, the Trailblazers, and seeing Don and Flo with NTA after all these years, one of the very first tattoo distributors out there taking innovation and getting it out there pre-ecom, right? Have to close their doors. They got
Yep.
overtaken. And it's, you could have to pivot. And I mean, I'm sure there's things that they could have done differently. But I don't want to see distributors and manufacturers falling off, regardless if it's private equity or mom and pop. I don't want to see these great brands and these great products get cannibalized by outside sources because there wasn't enough leaders in the community to show the young bucks. You know what I mean? I don't know your background and stuff like that. I could have been a third generation Marine, grandfather, master gunnery sergeant, uncle, sergeant, stepdad, gunnery sergeant. But that essence of paying your dues and listening to your elders and staying focused on asking questions and just being that sponge. You got great talent out there that the door was closed on them, or they didn't even consider trying to knock on the door because they the generation is different in terms of their interpersonal communication skills, and they're just bypassing it, and they're taking a
Right.
shit on the history, and they're taking a shit on the people. There's a lot of drama in the community beyond all that, right? Some of the innovators, knowing Ray Webb and what he did for other people to copy him. Some of the biggest brands out there owe a little bit of
Tic Tac.
homage to an engineer that wasn't a tattooer, and potentially watching his company's door close. Sad, right?
It's tough, man. That machine segment is one of the ones I was talking about, like
Yeah.
Chinese manufacturers. I mean, dude, I just had an artist hit me up like maybe yesterday or the day before, uh saying, yeah, tattoo artists are getting wise. They don't have to spend $1,000 on machines anymore. They can buy $200 machines on Amazon that basically will last them 6 months.
Three of them for $200.
That's what I'm saying. You know what I mean? That
Yeah.
$1,000 machine business is long gone, bro. I mean, FK Irons, I don't see how they're going to sustain long term. I mean, they're still selling machines for $1,000.
Well, they laid everybody off, man.
God
That's all.
forbid, God forbid, dude. Bishop, dude. I mean, I love Bishop as a company. I mean, I started off, first rotary machine. Well, not the first, but I think Stigma was the first rotary machine that I ever had. But I had the Bishop V6 for years. Saw Rich Panetta using that machine back in freaking early
Yeah.
2000s, and I was like, damn, I need one of those. And I had a Bishop V6, and the Bishop wand, I think, is a great machine. And the thing is, I know the people that make those machines. I know the engineering that goes into them, and they're worth what they're worth the money just because of who makes them and what's into them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But how do those brands compete against a $200 Chinese machine? Three of them. You know what I mean?
They
Like,
don't.
how
Well,
do you
they
do?
do. I mean, again, I'm give them a little bit of advice here. Again, keep trailblazing. I think that one thing that would be really important for any of the machine rotaries, right? Make them serviceable. put on master classes on how to take it apart. They don't encourage people to take it apart, right? So when it burns out, it burns out. But if you service, I mean, I don't drive my truck 10,000 miles without dropping it off and getting an oil change or doing it myself, right? We rotate tires. We let our $1,000 asset could go 2, 3, 4x the amount of time, even though they last. If you're an avid tattooer, I mean, what is, I'm not a huge tattooer. There's a couple of wands here. I got a Michelangelo and everything as well. I've collected them and gotten machines over the years and do fake skin and stuff. But doesn't like a bishop wand, like, doesn't it last like a long freaking time? Doesn't it last you a few years?
Should.
Well, what if it lasted you a decade? Because
Should.
you can now buy the parts, or you can buy, just the individual, motor, and pay a 799 a year fee to be a member of that. And now your piece of equipment that you spent $1,000 on is at a maintenance of like an oil change for my truck. It cost me 799 a year. And whenever I need parts, I got 30% off. And the maintenance to make it last 10 years was $300 plus all the annual fees.
Right, right. It's
Now
a
you got a
great idea.
$1,300 investment over the course of a decade. Whereas these mass machines, or whatever, the ones that I've seen out there coming off of Amazon, it's, again, this is not just the tattoo industry. On a human level, why are we creating so much damn trash? I mean, I like to see the future. I invest in a lot of sub markets and stuff too, but man, I'm betting dollars to donuts that long term an emerging market is the apprenticeship of people that sit around and fix shit, because we got to stop creating so much throwaway stuff. And
Right.
again, I'm not a tattooer. I know of the Bishop team. I don't know the original guy all that well. I don't know the FKI teams. I don't know Gust. I don't know all these people really well on an intimate level, but their brands are up there with mine, right? Like the one that I manage. I mean, it's like we're all important. It's what a bummer. And again, we've been talking about this. We're not beating around the bush here. We're going right up the middle. It is Amazon. It is China. And we don't want to finger point at them. So we don't want to be the one bitching and complaining. The solution is call them out, adjust the playbook, be inventive, create a better sense of community, right? Because if we can I mean, SEMA's going to have, gosh, what do they have? $250,000 to $500,000 every single year. 5 years from now, 250,000 tattooers from around the world coming and listening to that same little symposium we did in AFDO as your opening meeting, and having an award ceremony and attending some master classes, and then touring the trade show floor, and then going back home and becoming a better practitioner in their community. That's kind of like a really cool dream to be a part of. If we can all be a nucleus of that cell, you know, I
Right.
think that's exactly, if that's the direction we're going. If it could be ugly getting there, or it could be beautiful, and it could happen quicker. I think that's what maybe the sense of desperation I sense in your voice and some of the leaders out there that I have no problem following and working with, that are trying to fight the fight that you're talking about. It's, you know, it could happen lightning fast. It could happen lightning fast if everybody just gets it. Maybe they listen to this episode and all of your other episodes, and they start listening to, like, if you're a tattooer out there, spend an hour a day absorbing information from somebody that has been doing it as or longer than you. Go listen to the podcast. You know what I mean? Do something, gain more information. It can't just be about what's happening in the studios in your life, because if everybody understood, like, there's a little click that happened, a light bulb that happened within the tattoo community that says, you know what? I would like to be able to go to an organizational show and ask the tough questions. I love when I'm at a place, and when I've had booths, which we don't do booths a lot. It's expensive, but I've had a booth before, and I've had tattooers come up with the greatest questions that they were just afraid to ask. I talked to one a few weeks ago before we went to Sturgis. Got a information people will send through our Art Noir, bodyart.com website. Hey, I want to become a distributor, or I have a question. And the contact us form goes directly to me. Boom. I got it. I made the phone call. Tattooer was shitting it in their pants. I'm talking to, like you called me back? Yeah, man. You have a question about latex and petroleum, and the history of that. Yeah. Shit, dude. Like you guys were Adina. Like, well, we're not Adina anymore, but Adina's still, the core and we're Art Noir now, but it is formerly Adina. And yeah, that's me, man. Well, let's talk about it. You know what I mean? That's what the machine guys can do. That's what you do.
Yeah.
Hey, if your customers have a question, you're Johnny on the spot. So maybe, and I'm not saying that they're not doing it. I'm not saying anything about Bishop or FK or whatever they're doing good on them, right? And I'm sure if somebody calls and has a questions, they have great customer support staff. But lean into that. And if I got 1,000 inquiries a day, that would be impossible to keep up on. But because
Hmm.
they happen a couple of times a week, that's my top priority right then and there. I don't sell to you, but I sell to somebody that does sell to you. And the amount of times if I had $1 every single time, I had to tell a tattooer I can't sell them a case of gloves because I support the distribution network and what they do because it's too difficult to service a single person on a mass scale. It's easier to send mass product to, right? And it's supply chain. And that's where we started, right? So having to tell tattooers I can't sell them a glove, but I'm here if you have any goofy questions because there's a lot to know about infection control products and barrier protections. There's a lot of things I think just get taken for granted. And for the ones that are just great practitioners without needing that knowledge or have learned it from somebody that taught them, fantastic. For the ones that don't, hit me up, man. Like, not afraid of it. You might actually poke a hole in something. You might make the world better by thinking and asking questions that we haven't considered yet. So,
Right.
there's it's just again, it's just a sense of responsibility to the safety and everybody's doing it, and that's why I at least got to have my hat off, no matter what they say about. I loved your article about the corporate consolidation, man. I thought that was so up the middle, but you addressed both sides, because both sides have a good point. But knowing that at least one of these organizations that have done consolidation, knowing that they kept the badass legends still a part of it, makes me realize that there's hope there. It's not just some sort of faceless, empty vessel of a corporation. It is the same men and women that have been fighting so hard to, if they were an employee or they were the inventor and the owner of the company, all these years coming together. I mean, think about the talent, on that side of the things. I can't really speak for one of the organizations all that much, even though I know people over there are very important, have done great things. But come on, man. Sean Hoy, Franco, Billy, you know, Tramp, Sean Brown, Sonia. I mean, come on, man. Like,
Yeah, it's a loaded deck over
if
there,
you got to
man.
talk shit about Nexus, you don't know business, man. You just need to shut up and go put a stencil on somebody.
Yeah, yeah. I don't. I know all of them, and I don't really. I never really ask those kind of questions when I talk to people. Like, hey, what about Nexus? You know what I mean? I don't really care. Like
Yeah,
to that level, I don't really care to know too much. You know what I mean? Like I just. I've grown up with a lot of those people. You know what I mean? In the trenches out here
right.
with those people. You know what I mean? And so. More than anything, I just respect what they've done for the industry. You know what I mean? Even to the ones I don't necessarily see eye to eye with all the time. You know what I mean? There's some people in the industry that I've been really good friends with, and then we've kind of lost connection over the years or had disagreements in business or whatever that have kind of put a wedge between us or whatever. But still, even after all that, nothing but respect for all those people. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
lay myself down in front of them. This is a family, and you don't always get along with your family members all the time.
No.
But at the end of the day, we're still a family, and I respect the businesses they built. I think I don't know if you saw that documentary that just came out about Eternal, the one that's like I think it's called Eternal Forever or something like that. They just dropped it like a couple weeks ago.
Oh, I heard about it. I haven't yet. Where is it? What is it on?
It's on YouTube.
Okay.
Super good
Got
though,
that.
man. I mean, it's all about how Tramp started Eternal, and dude, I mean, it's just it was
I
really
think Sean
powerful.
had mentioned that too.
It was powerful, man. I really liked it, and
Oh,
I
yeah.
texted Tramp after the fact, and I said, "Hey, man, great video, dude. I think a lot more brands need to start putting that transparency out there. Start kind of putting your history out there and showing the years that you've put into building your brands, and it's impressive to see those stories. You know what I mean? Like it just ties right into that whole history of the industry. You know what I mean? You think about a guy like Tramp who's been in the business for 50 years. You know what I mean? It's
Right.
such a small fraction of time in the grand scheme. Uh,
Yeah.
but when you think about the impact that he's had on the industry with that one product, Eternal Ink, dude. I mean,
Right.
it's the biggest ink brand in the tattoo industry in the world. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. There's
and
a couple
even,
of them out there like that, you know?
well, yeah, but even think like, I called Tramp on the phone. I was like, damn, Tramp, did you ever think that, when you were mixing ink up in your shop, all those years ago, that it would ever be this? He's like, fuck no, dude. No. He's like, no.
Yeah, I have an interesting story because I've never gotten to know Tramp that well, like kind of an intimidating dude, briefly in Detroit this year. But a part of that lineage, and you're right, like the story is so important. That's the provocative nature. It's a part of history, right? That's what Tattoo Heritage Project's preserving the American contributions to that. We're all a timeline there, right? We're all a part of it, and good on them for it. But there was or we, what CRMs are.
Yeah.
So I had a CRM 2015. This is before I actually had the Eternal account, but there was notes in there from a previous sales rep that had talked to Terry, and it had expletives. And I'll just put it at that. And what the synopsis was, if you guys sell direct, we're done. I read that history before I knew any of you guys. I read that there was some dude named Terry that had told a sales rep, and again, Eternal before any of the consolidation, they're a big customer of Adina. And one day I wake up 2017, 2018, and a few of my customers are all the same customer now. So how do you deal with that on
Right.
both sides of the coasts, right? And again, so I have a unique connection to it, and these characters, I respect the history so much more because when I read something like that, it's like, okay, there's an ecosystem here, order of operations, a code that that I can wake up every single day and find a way to respect. And I mean, again, like hats off to them, man. They're all and they're all good people. And I don't know all of them super well. I'm getting to know more of them over the years. Some of our customers, some are not. Some of them want nothing to do with me. Some, want to do business. I don't care, man. I just, again, like I just want to keep getting tattooed. I
Yeah.
want to
Yeah.
eventually one day say I did it. Um, and I want it to be safe. And, I'm going to do my part. That's what I'm going to do. Just do my part.
Yeah.
So,
So, a great conversation. Let's talk about, let's wrap up and, talk about, Sturgis results because, we never mentioned that the charity that you were, raising money for was Tattoo Heritage Project out there.
yeah,
I feel like we should talk about that just a little bit.
I've
They,
been
uh, they
drinking
should,
from their mug.
yeah, we
Adina.
definitely, speaking of tattoo history, we should definitely, plug that and, talk a little bit about your passion behind wanting to raise money for that project, and how did that all come about, and then you know,
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, I think the origin story on Raven's Nest, I can't say too much because we are going to be involved in a very big publication here soon, which will tell all, and it's very exciting to be even part of it. And how I got to know Sean Kama was because of Sean Brown. Actually, long story there. I don't know if he told the story on his podcast. I can't remember, but um, along the lines of community, along the lines of the watered down amount of multiple expos in every major city. Copycats again, same thing. Everything like the theme of this conversation, right? It extends. It's a disease into all different aspects. And I'm going to Hell City this weekend. You know what I mean? Like, want to stay core. So when when like the opportunity came to me, I just felt very blessed to be a part of it, and I don't have an entertainment background, and Sean Kama's kind of larger than life rock star to me, and because of his music history and stuff like that. But we both agreed that the same thing you and I agree upon is that there's some changes out there, and we want to be a part of that. So let's go ahead and do something differently. So when Raven's Nest, the concept we want to when we show up, we bring the entire tattoo community. If we can't, then we're just not going to be in business anymore, right? That's the goal. And so again, like the like mobile tattooing trailers, tattoo expos, all that stuff, all fine and good. Not talking shit on it. Good on you. Good artistry. It's been doing a certain way. People are doing it over and over again. So, but when we show up, we're going to bring a better connectivity than anybody else. So when we show up, well, why am I going to be giving money to a different charity that has nothing to do with the tattoo industry? No, it doesn't make sense. So we initially, and on Tattoo Heritage Project, Art Noir, again, buy products from people that care about the community, right? Because if you go buy a glove that cares, how about that? A glove within the industry, because that helps me give more money to charities, right? If we stay like this and maybe grow a little bit, we're healthy. If these brands start going down, they can't do any good, right? Because let's bypass all that. So I got connected with Tattoo Heritage Project last year, been paying attention to it for a while. I learned about it from Jack and Good Time Charlie and stuff like that a few years ago. So earmarked some support for him this year and was happy to do it. And then when Raven's Nest was brought to me late last year, I said, let's do the same thing, right? Like, if we're going to go out there, let's earmark some profits. Let's earmark a charity raise. And I think we're going to have better ways and bigger ways to do it in the future. But we were able to sell art and get back to zero. But we also, I had got connected to Tyler, Tattoo Zoo. I don't know if you're familiar with
Yeah,
him.
yeah, yep.
He also runs the Hope versus Cancer. So since our core goal when we show up is to be bringing all of these brands that are canvas focused more, right, and user focused a little bit more, we want to bring the education and the awareness of the tattoo community, boots on the ground, not televised or manipulated, but just this is the raw. You got a question about Solon and what they've done for the industry. Here we are to tell you about it. I'm not just selling you a sweater or a shirt. Why is Tattoo Heritage Project a Hope versus Cancer? What is it that they do that's important? So we were in Sturgis with bikers of a certain demographic, right? Um, they were hungry, man. People that had tattoos, young or old, were fucking stoked to hear about the Heritage Project and Hope versus Cancer and Solon's history and Inkies and some of our other vendors that, and again, all of the vendors in our booth, if they weren't connected to the tattoo industry, were hand selected from people that paid to go to tattoo shows, right? Like we had hot sauce from Papa Caps, McKenna Jewelry donated, easily close to $1,000 worth of jewelry for the prizes for these winners. We had Allow Nourishments. Um, who else? Am I forgetting anybody? Again, like Tattoo Zoo donated some animals. All the prizes came from the sponsors or the vendors. So I didn't
Nice.
have another vendor in there. And I was contacted and I talked to a couple. And I'm the president of sales and operations, volunteering all that time out there and stuff for Raven's Nest. So I talked to people. And we were approached by one brand that said, I'd love to get involved. And I said, have you ever gone to a tattoo show? No, I haven't done that yet. Oh, okay, man. Well, I got somebody else in line that pays Villain Arts or pays, Hell City money to be in the booth. That therefore they've supported the ecosystem. And since their product has nothing to do with tattooing, they are going to be ahead of line. So again, I think if we keep that core, and with Sean's leadership, our CFO, and we have a great compliance officer that's connected to a lot of projects, like the Punk Rock Museum. I think Sean had mentioned on his show,
Yep, yep, yep.
and just some really cool stuff in the entertainment world, which also gets me, pretty excited and stuff because the tattooing subculture is just one of the subcultures I'm into. So, music and motorcycles and things like that. That's the hobbies and the other things that we do besides our career are driving and important. So again, that's probably the essence. Hopefully that answers your question. Like Raven's Nest is just trying to it's the same sense of community on a public scale for it may I'd just rather have a better connection than somebody watching a season of Ink Masters. Now, nothing against it. Again, I learned a ton, but people are watching it for the entertainment value. I watched it like I was going to the library to index something. you know, like I use it as education.
Yeah.
Now, can I get Rob to have his QR code in my edu pamphlet free to the public, whether you buy something and support the charities or not, telling that person when you see my product or you see Eternal on the shelf, you got something right there that we can take care of adverse reports and that has clean ingredients in it and it's being made good manufacturing practices and heals true to color or whatever it may be, right? So that's important. That needs to be an arm of that. And it doesn't need to be manipulated like maybe other productions are. It needs to be pure. It needs to be fun. It needs to be, you know, transparent. Um, Make a couple of bucks for a good cause in the process. Keep us afloat. You can't keep a company. Got to be able to at least make $1 right on each event, and that's the important thing there, so that we can continue that type of project and get into more exciting things. So I say people keep an eye out for that, and everybody that supported it. A lot of the people I mentioned at the beginning of the show here. Gosh, who am I missing? I mean, Tommy's, Intens, Mario, True Tubes, Hell City, Derb. Gosh, who else, man? We had a lot of brands on that banner, didn't we?
Yeah.
Keep the fees, and their merchant processing have dipped into their bags and helped us out. Ink Shop Guard, which is I don't know if you know Nate at all, but they got really good underwriting for shop insurance. You know, and this is the way the industry's going, right? These third party services, they got to come with the same respect that I did, not being a tattooer.
Right.
Got to come in and they got to pay your dues. You got to make sure that you're doing the absolute best you can for the tattooer, the shop, the studio, or the canvas, whatever your responsibility and your echelon is. And man, if I forget to mention somebody, I'm gonna be
The
so
knife people.
afterward. Huh?
The knife people.
Pardon?
The knives.
Oh yeah, yeah. So Quinn Knives. Well, yeah,
Twin
they
knives.
were.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, Sarah did. I'm getting the feedback on this. Maybe you can edit this out real quick. Give me a second.
I'm not catching it on my end, so I think we're good.
You there?
Yep.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, the old Roadcaster. I'm funneling everything in. Yeah, I gotta get the new modern one. Yeah, Quinn Knives did a collab with Sarah X Shadows, who was also the one that did all the art, and I'm her number one fan. And she designed some burnt some like stuff specific to Sturgis. So you can go to Quinn Knives .com and they will have, or Quinn Knives Collective. And you'll see that out there. It's limited edition, one of 20 runs on 4 different knife burns. And they were, again, that was just like another artist contribution to the entire thing that was very important, but they weren't like an inner industry brand at all by any means. Let me see if I can make sure who else I need to thank on air real quick here. But obviously, Electrum, uh, Starbright Inc., Tommy's, all are phenomenal. Inkies. We had Bishop that came to the table with some things as well. Critical Tattoo Supply. Obviously, Art Noir. Sailor Jerry as well. Sailor Jerry came through with us in a big way.
They did. They provided lots of free drinks to the judges. I was very appreciative of
Yeah,
all those
yeah.
rum and cokes.
Well, it's interesting. So
Great.
again, how funny is it that like the theme of this particular conversation and maybe some of your other shows is all about that, you know, paying respect to the history. Sailor Jerry not being a rum, but it is now, right? And like that history. I think that's pretty accurate for me to say, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, owned, you know, overseas, and but because of their connection to this community, were instantly willing to meet with us and make that type of thing happen, just like yourself.
They were great.
They're amazing.
They were
They're
great the whole
absolutely
time there.
their team of working with them on the pathway
Oh,
to
yeah.
this was
Great.
great. Their philanthropy, they gave back, and they were just we couldn't have done it without anybody in particular, them as well. Um, Other things like Skeleton Goods helped us out with some media and provided some awesome swag for the crowds. I don't know if you know Lou Pimble at all. Was
Yeah. Who were the skateboards from?
That was Sailor Jerry too.
Oh, it was? Because those were
Yeah.
badass too.
Yeah, I got one right over here.
And you had the big, and they donated the big fucking hula girl statue. That thing was sick.
Yeah, it was the last ever. I guess I'm kind of quoting from them. Last ever, because that's a promo item. If you're
Yeah,
like a booze company, right? Like
yeah,
kind of like
yeah,
your neon sign, you
yeah.
do a promo item when they're out, you're good. So that was the last ever that one of the gentlemen in the organization had to find in a storage unit and dust it off. And that went to, and I'm trying to remember the winner's name and stuff. Sarah knows well, and we actually have to reach out to her because we have to get, she gets rally passes next year, which is like another $900 value.
It's funny too because I was talking to her. I was like, "How are you guys gonna get all this shit home? Like, what?
She
You're gonna,
strapped it.
you're gonna have to strap it all to that skateboard and like pull it behind the motorcycle on the way
Did you
back."
see the picture?
Do you know?
Yeah, I think she put it on the internet or somebody caught her. She strapped a 3 foot tall hula girl. And I don't know if she had a sissy bar or not. She might have a sissy bar, but she strapped it to it.
Oh,
Um,
it's hilarious.
yeah. Yeah,
That's
this just to
hilarious,
let you know what a
dude.
biker slash tattoo enthusiast will do, man. I don't know if
Dude,
she knew that she was going to have all of that
I don't think
stuff.
so. I don't think so.
Yeah, so they gave away um, 9 categories. They had nine, and then this is so it's right over here. I wish I could probably grab it and put it on camera. I could send you some pictures. But Tall Boy, a tattooer, helped do the artwork on it. That was another promo item from Sailor Jerry. So in addition to the grand prize Hula Girl, all winners got one of the very last. I'm pretty sure I'll have to check with Sailor Jerry on that and their team. We're gonna have to do a wrap up call in the near future. But they, I think this is like the last run of those skateboards as well. So we gave away a little piece of history to the winners. And again, all the people, Solon chipped in. We had Twisted Grip, which are get back whips that was out there at another location in Sturgis. All of the vendors that were in our booth, like Pop Caps and Allow and McKenna, they gave away things to the winners. And the people that didn't have a particular product, like yourself, like you had stuff in the tattoo cafe, right? Which is always good. But the people that don't have like a certain thing that's meant for the canvas or the general public, were able to contribute, financially, or they were able to contribute by making sure the tattoo cafe was in a rock star status, which my gosh, man, you go inside there, it was brand central, the who's, right? Like these tattooers, if I was a tattooer, I would be stoked, man. I was talking to a couple of them. I think Johnny, was it Johnny or Ryan or somebody like that? And they were just loading up box loads of all this. Like Sean runs such an amazing program over there. He had talked about it so much, and I didn't believe it until I saw it when I was out there. But these tattooers just have to show up.
Yeah.
You gave them stencil product and the stencil paper for days, man. Like
Yeah, yeah, they
you
had a
had to
lot
break
of
a sweat.
they were loaded, bro.
Yeah. Really loaded. I wanted to take some home. I think I have a couple of your products
Well,
in my
what was
studio
funny
here.
is because there was a misunderstanding in the beginning where I thought, so I had sent stuff to the tattoo cafe, but
Yeah.
then I had also sent stuff for the tattoo competition because originally I thought artists were winning prizes at the tattoo competition. I didn't
Yeah.
realize it was just for the collectors. So
Yeah.
then I got on the phone with Sean and I was like, wait, I sent all this stuff out for the tattoo competition. He's like, oh, well, we're just gonna have to put it all in the tattoo cafe. I was like, well, then they're getting seriously loaded up with product. Really.
Yeah,
Like I
they
said,
are.
yeah,
And I hope
like,
anybody that watches this understands the types of things that companies like yourself and all the people I've mentioned and we mentioned on this, what they do for these types of things and these types of raises and these types of organization. I mean, Sean Kama has 15 years there. I wouldn't even had a chance to be a part of this particular production in general at all without him, right? Who has 15 years of good successful programs with multi-million dollar productions that have nothing to do with tattooing and everything to do with motorcycles? Like like that, the tattoo cafe is, if you're in Sturgis culture and you don't know about it, then we'll see you there next year. Come like Ryan would say, come to the damage dungeon, man. Come
yeah,
to bring the bad decisions.
I'm coming out. I'm coming out completely different next year, man. Like
Yeah,
this was my first year out to Sturgis. I didn't really know what to expect. I just kind of wanted to come and
same.
keep a low profile at this show and just kind of get the lay of the land and understand how things worked and operated. Yeah, like I told you when we wrapped up at the end, I'm really looking forward to what you're going to be doing out there over the coming years, and I definitely hope to be a part of it. I hope that I served you guys well, and that I'll get invited back to it next year. And yeah, I
Yeah,
had a blast, man. I had a
we're
blast.
gonna jump into planning stuff as soon as we get on the other side of this really big drop that's happening. As of right now, I think I could probably comfortably say it without getting in trouble with comma, but I think Black Friday is that, and then we're going right back into this thing. Got a ton of stuff to lean into. If you do come out, and I think we're going to get a little bit more support from some of these other brands. Might love to see Hoy out there. I'd love to see Jeremy out there. I think that what we did accomplish might show that this is. But again, Raven's Nest Productions isn't just Sturgis. We have a lot of really cool things in the works that we don't even know what we might grow into yet. But um, it's going to be really exciting. But if you roll out next year, let's just stay more planful because I'm thinking about not staying in the house and building out my mobile camping thing this year and
You're
pulling
gonna
the
stay in the
bikes because
campground?
I'd like to be in the campground with and go in on a and maybe I'm gonna just buy a golf cart like the one you had,
Yeah.
tow the golf cart, tow the bikes in the sleeping trailer and and mob out because the amount of time. Where'd you guys stay at?
Well, we stayed at the what is it called? The Rushmore? Har- what's that town?
Rapid City.
Yeah, Rapid City, yeah, yeah.
Okay, somewhere towny. And
So
that, but
we were
how
at the
long?
same hotel Derb was at.
Okay, that's right. That's right.
But
And Rick
now
Virginia.
if I was gonna go out again, I would totally stay in Deadwood because like, dude,
Deadwood was great, but the commute was gnarly, man. At least after, I mean, again, drinking and driving. If you're having a couple of cocktails, that's a no bueno out there for sure. And if it's busier, if it could be, if it's any busier than it was, you're talking about an hour to, like I said earlier, to 2 hours to get from the Chip to Deadwood.
well, interestingly, the people that we know that had that op one,
Yeah.
they're in a campground across the street. You know where the side by side trails are at over there? Up on that
Uh,
big hill on the
yeah,
other
yeah, yeah.
side of the highway?
From the Chip or from
Yeah,
Deadwood? Oh,
yeah.
okay.
That
Yeah, yeah,
main highway that goes out there,
yeah.
on the other side of that highway, there's a big hill with a bunch of trails, and you see all the side by sides out there just tearing it up all day, every day, right?
Yeah, is that Camp Zero?
Maybe that's what it's called.
Yeah.
But
Or
they have
near it.
they had a spot out there because I'll tell you, um, some of the regulars there said if you want to sleep, don't stay in the campground because the campground becomes party central every freaking
Yeah.
night out here.
There's a couple of offsite ones that I heard that are opposite of that though. But if you're like in the core of it, we're also there's one that's up the road. Just when you're coming back towards Deadwood and you're going downtown and all the vendors are there. There was a whole bunch of ones that spider out from there, and there's like a little cabins that if you stay for like 5 days is only like a grand or a couple grand. So we're thinking about that too. But I'd like to not have a long commute every day so I can work my butt off and still be able to. We only got to enjoy one concert, which was Marilyn Manson.
Oh,
Um,
really?
yeah, because we had to be hyper focused and vigilant and get some rest, and the commute was long to and fro every day. Um, that the team was just, we were just all. And again, I haven't even mentioned everybody. Again, like Melanie, Respect My Industry. I might have mentioned earlier, Hoon. We had Hoon come out and help
Moon
us
was
out.
awesome.
Yeah, yeah. We had Larry with Keep the Fees helping us on the POS system, and I mean, it was really just a band of people that are like, oh, fuck it, let's try this. Like
Yeah,
it
yeah.
sounds good on paper, and yeah, man, it's so much work came to fruition. Um, Sleepless nights, frustrating days, organizing and stuff. And it was just so amazing to see it happen for everybody. I think everybody, we're going to get a little more active on the social and stuff. I want to see all the brands and the vendors, speak up a little bit on that because it was like a moment in time. Like I was saying, that APT and last NTA meeting, that was a moment in time. That was a little piece of history. It's emotional talking about it, and I think that this was this too. Having all you guys together, you guys were jamming, having fun. but we were working our booties off, and I was so happy to do it. And next year I'd like to be able to have a more even balance of that. I want to be able to hang with all the friends and then also do good. Because I took vacation to go work. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
that's the
it was
longest
a
time I've ever
monumental
taken off.
time. I mean, it was the first time I'd seen Mario really in person since 2018, man. Like that was
Cool.
and as soon as I saw him, we talked for an hour, you know what I mean? Like as soon as he got there, we talked for like a whole hour just about ink regulations and stuff. So it was great to be able to reconnect with him. And no, man, thanks for putting that all together, dude. Honestly, a lot of people don't see what goes on behind the scenes and what people do behind the scenes in the industry. And you're definitely, you're much more than just a Dina in art noir, for sure. But a lot of people don't see that, you know what I mean? So I think it's appropriate to give you credit, and it's good to have you on here and let you have the spotlight for a minute, because you definitely have earned it in my mind.
Wow, shit, man. I appreciate that. I'm humbled by it all. Raised well, I guess, right? Just
Yeah, man, we're on the same path together, dude. I'm really enjoying the relationship that we've formed so far, and that we continue to form. And I think there's a lot of road ahead for us both together, and respectively and
yeah,
collaboratively. And yeah, if
heck yeah.
people want to reach out to you, dude, what's the best way to get in touch with you? What socials do you want to point people to? And
Art Noir underscore body art is our IG. You can get directly to marketing that gets everything directly to me. Art Noir body art.com. That goes directly to me if you fill out the contact us form. I never send anything to my personal stuff. You want to follow Raven's Nest Productions on IG as well. You can, if you're in the industry and you're looking to get involved in that, we could definitely use maybe a few more volunteers, sponsors next year. It's a passion project. But yeah, man, I'm a fan of the show. I like what you're doing, putting yourself out there. These are the things that we can look back on and point to as the moments that needed to happen, that are necessary for the development of this amazing historical community. That, I mean, we're humans, man. We got to have purpose, and I can't think of a better industry to be a part of, and family. Where am I going to see you next? Are you going to be in Louisiana for the APT thing?
yeah, New
Well,
Orleans. Yep, I'll be
all
there.
right, I'll
Is
see you there
one,
then.
and
Yeah,
then
Sarah and I are
the
coming out. Yeah, I got a couple customers to visit in different industries around town, so we'll come out there and go out to dinner or something.
yeah, let's definitely keep in contact and make some plans to get together out there. We'll eat some oysters.
Yeah. Oh, sounds good. Or it's not even crawfish season. I'll be out there the Wednesday before until Sunday.
Okay, I'll let you know. But yeah, thanks for being a guest today, dude, and thanks
Cool.
for loving the show and tuning in every week, dude. It means a lot to me, and I'll
Yep.
talk to you soon.
All right, man. Take
All
care.
right, brother.
Bye.
That's a wrap for this episode of The Business of Tattooing. I appreciate you tuning in and being part of this journey to level up the industry one conversation at a time. If you found value in today's episode, do me a favor. Subscribe, leave a review, and share it with another artist who could use this knowledge. Got questions or topics you want me to cover? Hit me up on Instagram at NoFlashNinja or email me at rob@electrumsupply.com. And remember, tattooing is an art, but running a successful business is a skill. Keep pushing, keep learning, and I'll catch you next time on The Business of Tattooing.